You know, ladies and gentlemen, I've got a motto. You always need to look on the bright side. No matter how bad things get, there is always a silver lining. Like, for example, at least it wasn't a 30-point loss. Welcome to the Dan O'Donnell Show. Yes, we will be breaking down the Supreme Court shellacking from every angle today. And I'm sure you, my dear listeners, have a lot of thoughts about it, and we would like to entertain as many as we can. We will take your calls. We will read your texts. 414-799-1130 is our AdventNows.com talk and text line. You can always email me, DOD@iHeartMedia.com. Follow the show at Dan O'Donnell Show on X, on Facebook, on Instagram. We are streaming live across social media as well as on our YouTube channel. Again, please do subscribe to the Dan O'Donnell Show podcast on iHeartRadio or wherever you listen to podcasts. Without any further ado, let's get right into it. It was a bad night for conservatives, a 20-point blowout in the Wisconsin Supreme Court election. So just what went wrong and how can it be fixed before the gubernatorial election and state legislation just a scant 7 months from now? We discuss in just a second, and really throughout the entire show. White House Press Secretary Karoline Leavitt just a couple of hours ago offering an update on the ceasefire with Iran.
With respect to the 2-week ceasefire announced by President Trump last night, this is a victory for the United States of America that the president and our incredible military made happen.
Now, Leavitt is urging the press not to take anything Iran says at face value, noting that they are saying one thing publicly and quite another to the negotiating team, which is being dispatched to Pakistan this weekend.
I can announce that the president is dispatching his negotiating team, led by the Vice President of the United States, J.D. Vance, Special Envoy Witkoff, and Mr. Kushner to Islamabad for talks this weekend. The first round of those talks will take place on Saturday morning, local time, and we look forward to those in-person meetings.
Much more coming up in the Daily Trump Date. That's just after the 4 o'clock news. Then in the 5 o'clock hour, UW System President Jay Rothman says he is not going to fight his firing. The Board of Regents made their rather abrupt decision in a 17-0 vote yesterday to relieve him of his duties. Well, the state Senate, controlled by Republicans, appears to be firing back. We will discuss that coming up at about 5:30 here on the Dan O'Donnell Show. Well, it was a disappointment bordering on disaster, and let's not actually sugarcoat that. It was a disaster in toto. There was really nothing good that could have been said about last night's state Supreme Court race. In fact, believe it or not, Maria Lazar lost 7 of Wisconsin's 8 congressional districts. So dominant was Chris Taylor, the liberal now Supreme Court Justice-elect. So dominant was she. She won 7 of 8 congressional districts. Sort of disproves the left's narrative for the past 15 years that those congressional districts have been gerrymandered to favor Republicans now, doesn't it? If a liberal candidate is good enough, and apparently Chris Taylor in this electorate was good enough, they can win literally anywhere in the state. Here's the bottom line about why Maria Lazar lost. She's intelligent. She's a highly effective judge. She's got an exemplary record. She has got a long history of being fair-minded and just a decent person. She's got integrity. She's got kindness. She is relatable. And she also just ran one of the worst judicial campaigns in Wisconsin history. The reality is, all of us should have seen this coming months ago. And in fact, I don't want to say I told you so, and I swear, I'm not going to say I told you so. But I got in some trouble with the Lazar campaign at its very start. When she got in this race in October, I was watching the campaign unfold for about a month or so, and in fairness, she was put into a very difficult spot. But she needed to hit the ground running. Her opponent, Chris Taylor, had a huge head start, big fundraising advantage, and the electorate was such that the incumbent conservative justice, Rebecca Bradley, decided right before Labor Day weekend that she's not going to run again. Now, what does that say when an incumbent who has a huge advantage just naturally with name recognition and all of that says, I don't believe that I can win. I need to step aside. I just don't think that there's any chance that I'm going to win again. Now, of course, Bradley said, well, I don't want to be in the minority, and I don't want another 10 years of it. Yes, okay. Being in the minority, whether it's not particularly fun. But let's not kid ourselves. She didn't run for the exact same reason that Justice Annette Ziegler just announced that she isn't going to run again in 2027, because they don't believe that conservatives can win in spring elections anymore. Unless, of course, there's a candidate who just comes along and really engages the conservative voter base with charisma, with a concrete vision for how their election will actually benefit, how it will actually tangibly improve the lives of the people who are voting for this person. And Maria Lazar, from the very beginning, wasn't it. In fact, I referred to her after about a month of campaigning and seeing what this campaign was all about as Dan Kelly in a dress. And the conservative movement, the Republican Party, they were not particularly happy with me. But I saw what was coming, because Lazar was talking about the same high-minded platitudes that Dan Kelly did in both 2020 and 2023. He lost both races by double digits. Voters in Supreme Court elections in this state don't care about this sort of thing. Supreme Court elections are not about personal qualifications. They're not about the dedication to the rule of law, and they haven't been for many, many years. They're about connecting with voters. They're about presenting those voters with a clear vision of how a candidate can deliver, terrifying them of the alternative and motivating them to turn out in huge numbers. In other words, Supreme Court elections in this state are just like every other election in this state or in this country. So why can't conservatives grasp this? Dan Kelly, Maria Lazar, Dan Kelly again, Michael Skrenik, and to some extent even Brad Schimmel, they all treated their elections as sort of an abstract philosophical debate rather than a street fight over real-world results and real-world issues. Voters don't care about a candidate's commitment to judicial restraint or soft-pedaled references to an opponent's activism or extremism. They want to know how a conservative is going to fight for them and win for them over the intolerable excesses of the ever-dangerous left. Lazar fastidiously avoided this at every turn. At several points during this race, she even declared she wasn't a Republican, she wasn't a conservative, and she didn't want President Trump's endorsement. Well, in this hyper-partisan environment, that's akin to flat out telling Trump's voters that you don't want their votes. It's no surprise then that she didn't get them. Now, on the other hand, Chris Taylor, just like Janet Protasewicz and Rebecca Dallett and Jill Karofsky and Susan Crawford before her, openly campaigned as a partisan Democrat. She talked about the blessed liberal sacrament of abortion pretty much every time she opened her mouth. The result? Taylor, Protasewicz, Dallett, Karofsky, and Crawford are all Supreme Court justices. Lazar, Kelly, Skrenik, and Schimmel are not. Inherently, by their very nature, elections draw clear battle lines. And if one general refuses to meet the opposing army on the field, the war is lost before it ever really begins. Even a moment's hesitation to attack, it only serves to hand the advantage to an opponent who will define the stakes of the race and identify and define both candidates without any apology or without any remorse. Taylor did it, and so will the next liberal Supreme Court candidate, and the next, and the next, and the next, and the next. Conservatives could be staring at a 7-0 liberal court by April of 2029, and frankly, that outcome seems more likely than not. until conservative judges themselves start to understand that winning elections requires doing and saying things that are actually required to win elections, the court is going to be lost for generations. We now have a 5-2 liberal majority. Next year, as I said, Ziegler isn't running again. She sees the way that these elections are going, and she doesn't see a turning of the tide. If liberals win again next year, and I would have to assume, given the fact that they haven't won by less than 10 since the start of this decade, they've got to be considered prohibitive favorites, we go to a 6-1 liberal majority. Rebecca Dallett then has the power of the incumbency in 2028 as she runs for re-election, a liberal justice there. She will be the overwhelming favorite to win. And then in 2029, it's alleged conservative Brian Hagedorn. I would think it more likely than not that he does not run again, primarily because not only is he going to see how good liberals are at turning out the votes, especially in Dane County, and the fact that conservatives aren't showing up in these races, they're especially not going to show up for him, since in two of the absolute biggest cases that this court has seen in decades, the 2020 election case and the redistricting cases of a couple of years ago, he sided with liberals. That is what he has done throughout most of his tenure on this court. He doesn't have a base, in other words. Liberals win that one too, 7-0. Now look, the reality is that Taylor was swimming in money. Lazar, yes, was severely underfunded. Yes, donors seemed to determine before she even got in the race that Taylor was all but assured of a victory. I mean, the fact that Bradley announced her retirement after Taylor got in the race, that pretty much says it all. Yes, the donors are almost certainly conserving their resources for a very difficult gubernatorial election and a legislative election in which Democrats are looking to flip control of both houses with maps that were drawn specifically for their candidates by Governor Tony Evers. And yes, it doesn't seem as though the Republican Party of Wisconsin can do any meaningful fundraising at all. I've got the numbers that show they have been absolutely pathetic at raising money. All of that was going right in Maria Lazar's face. None of it was really her fault. But she still needed to give donors as well as voters a reason to get excited for, a reason to believe that she could pull off the upset, a reason to think, maybe this candidate is good enough to do the impossible. She never did. She never inspired the masses to crawl through broken glass, to brave a thunderstorm or a tornado to get out and vote for her. What did she ever do or say during the entire 6-month period that she was in this race to really inspire anybody? Small turnout elections like this one, like most Supreme Court elections, including last night's, they require hyper-focused, hyper-targeted messaging that is aimed directly at a loyal, dedicated voter base. Now, liberals can rely on teachers' unions and Madison lefties to turn out because every candidate that they run talks directly to them, makes them explicit promises that they're going to overturn Act 10, that they're going to gerrymander every single legislative and congressional map that they can find, and that they're, personally going to perform abortions on the bench. Is it any wonder, then, that liberals are turning out in droves to vote for the candidates that are making them these promises, that are talking to them, that are speaking their language, and that are motivating them to get out and vote? Is it any wonder, then, after the last couple of campaigns that we've seen, that conservatives stay home? Lazar gave nobody any reason to come out. And no, I'm a principled judge and my opponent is not a reason for a voter to come out. It's just white noise. Now, conservatives, they're going to keep losing until they learn to cut through that noise and actually speak to the voter base and motivate it. In other words, they're going to keep losing until they start treating elections like elections. You're listening to The Dan O'Donnell Show. Much more on this coming up in just a second. Stay tuned.
Attention well pump owners, do you have enough water pressure for your needs? Can you run 2 faucets at once without a problem? If you answered no to Pump and Plumbing Professional about a well pump checkout before you're left high and dry. They feature a full line of well pump equipment. Contact them at 262-784-HELP or SNKPump.com.
When it comes to water, one call does it all. SNK Pump and Plumbing.
Have you seen our vehicles around town? Bayview Shade and Blind has had blind men driving for over 100 years. We invite you to come in and see why a century of experience makes a difference. Bayview Shade and Blind, sharing a little sunshine from our family to yours.
In a field of thousands, one has emerged, back from the brink, now poised to take its rightful place amongst the greatest lawns of all time. It's the birth of a true turf champion, and a story that will live on at summer barbecues and in neighborhood group chats for all time. Your lawn is back, baby, and it's Weedman for the win. Go to weedman.com, enter promo code GREEN, and get 1 free service.
Academic Mortgage is an equal housing lender. NMLSConsumerAccess.org, number 255368.
Don't settle for a flimsy bank pre-approval. Get the pre-approval listing agents and sellers recognized as better than the rest. The rock-solid guaranteed pre-approval from AccuNet. Get yours by clicking on the blue button at accunet.com.
It's time for Stein's annual Milorganite sale, and now's the best time to fertilize your lawn and garden. Stock up today and save when you purchase 5 bags for $42 or $9.49 per bag.
A small business affirmation from Progressive. Plumbers, today will be a good day. You will be profitable. Your clients will be nice. No one will stand over you and tell you how to fix the thing they actually hired you to fix. You will also feel at peace after switching to Progressive, America's #1 commercial auto insurer. See if you can save in as little as 8 minutes at progressivecommercial.com.
Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates, #1 commercial auto insurer from the NAIC's 2024 National Premium Data.
Wesley Financial Group is not a law firm, and Chuck McDowell definitely not an attorney. This is Chuck. If someone talked you into buying something really silly and you want to get out of that silly little thing, my advice, get the facts. Call me and I'll send you our timeshare exit kit absolutely free. Inside, you'll learn how timeshare works and all your options for cancellation.
Call Wesley now for your free timeshare exit information kit. 800-809-7171. That's 800-809-7171.
Make News Talk 1130 WISN your #1 preset on our free iHeartRadio app. Powered by Gruber Law.
One call, that's all.
Injured?
Remember, one call, that's all.
Classical conservatism mixed with contemporary style, in-depth analysis, and data-driven discussion of the spring election, which I'm not going to sugarcoat was an unmitigated disaster for conservative Maria Lazar. Yet another statewide race is a 10-point-plus loss. This one was a 20-point loss. Early turnout estimates for that race, 32% of the voter age population, 18-plus. That translates to about 42% of eligible voters cast their ballots. As you could imagine, that is well below both 2025 and 2023, where control ideologically of the Supreme Court was at stake. 2025 and 2023 are number 1 and 2 of the single most expensive judicial races in American history. Not Wisconsin history, American history. Turnout was even below April of 2020, which of course was way down, even though there was a presidential election primary. There was a contested primary on the Democrat side. Of course, President Trump was running as an independent, which sort of juiced turnout for Dems, but turnout was way down because that was the election that was run in the early days of COVID-19. You remember when Democrats hysterically told us that exercising our right to vote was going to kill us all? Yeah, they really were just that crazy. This race saw dramatically lower turnout, dramatically lower interest, but not from liberals. even though Dane County did not see the turnout that it did in either 25 or 23 as a percentage of the total vote, it was right up there. Dane County, led by Madison, which apparently now has every single lefty from Ann Arbor, Berkeley, Washington, D.C., they've all moved to Madison, it seems, because Madison is just able to turn out insane amounts of left-wing votes. The WOW counties, guess what? They're not the reliable bastion of conservative votes that they used to be. When Rebecca Bradley ran and won 10 years ago, April of 2016, she won 72% of the vote in Washington County, 68% of the vote in Waukesha County, and 66% of the vote in Ozaukee County. She won by about 5. Lazar last night won just 62% of the vote in Washington County, 54% in Waukesha County, and actually lost Ozaukee County. Taylor won with 52% of the vote. The WOW counties are no longer the turnout machines that they were during the Scott Walker era. This is due to a tremendous number of different factors. You've got liberal creep into those counties. They're fleeing the city of Milwaukee and the Milwaukee County suburbs that they've destroyed. Looking at you, Wauwatosa. Although the race I was most concerned about that would have solidified my theory that liberals are just moving west, Brookfield mayor, even though Mike Hallquist, alderman, far-left radical, was backed by $111,000 from a Washington, D.C. nonprofit, he lost handily to incumbent Brookfield mayor Steve Ponto. City of Waukesha did not go nearly as well for Scott Allen. This was a wide open race. In fact, the first wide open Waukesha mayor's race in quite some time. He lost to the Common Council president, who happens to be a radical lib. Still amazes me. She had a DUI and was convicted of operating after revocation twice. We need to get the state patrol to drive her around Waukesha like it was driving around Mandela Barnes for years when he refused to pay all of his property, or excuse me, his parking tickets and property tax. He just kind of refused to pay everything, which is why on this show we refer to him as Man Deadbeat Barnes. The biggest reason for this vote erosion is because, yes, there is some alienation in the Trump era of the suburban housewife vote. Now, this is sort of glommed onto by a whole lot of the Never Trump movement in Wisconsin. Yes, they still exist. You see them tweeting, and every so often they sort of pop their heads up. They sort of look around to make sure it's safe. They say, after an election that doesn't go our way, now's the time. We all have to dump Donald Trump. Trump has the support of 90% of Republicans. It is not Trump. This election had absolutely nothing to do with Trump, except Trump is a massive motivating factor for lefties. Republicans will show up to vote in presidential elections now. And yes, we do not have the same sort of high propensity voters that we did in the Scott Walker era. It is my very strong suspicion that they are no longer in this state. They didn't all of a sudden become Democrats. They reached retirement age and they left for Florida. And because Florida has no state income tax and Wisconsin's tax burden is very high, relatively speaking, now the highest tax burden, believe it or not, the highest cost of living in the upper Midwest, yes, higher than Minnesota, and yes, higher than Illinois. They're becoming Florida residents. They're no longer voting here. Not only that, they are more likely to go even farther west to get away from some of the encroaching liberalism, or because they want more space, because they want to build bigger houses. It is not because they're suddenly turning liberal, or that all of a sudden Waukesha County just decided that they hate Donald Trump after he won the presidency and they're going to start voting liberal. Wisconsin, though, still is a last vestige of the Never Trump movement, so you get this periodically bandied about as a possible reason. Inasmuch as Donald Trump was a factor in this election, it's because he is the single biggest motivator for leftists to get out and vote that I have ever seen. And I grew up in the era where it was just common to call George W. Bush Hitler. I can remember they called him Bush Hitler without even thinking about it, or Shrub. They thought they were very clever in calling him Shrub. Get it? Because it's like a different name for Bush. I never said these people were clever, okay? I never said they were creative. When you have a small turnout election, and when you are up against an electorate who is so motivated by hate and so motivated by anger, so motivated by rage, and is constantly getting the message that if they vote, this is going to be a middle finger to Trump. We can save democracy from the evil tyrant, the neo-mutant super Hitler Donald Trump, if we just vote for a random state Supreme Court justice in a race that isn't even going to change ideological control of the court, then we can defeat fascism. Those are quite the stakes, aren't they? Conservatives don't have nearly the sense of impending doom if they don't get out and vote. What needs to happen then is a lot of money needs to be spent to convince them of the doom that will happen if they don't get out and vote, to convince them that Maria Lazar, even though she said she wasn't a Donald Trump conservative, actually does represent the values of MAGA conservatism and actually would deliver results for the state of Wisconsin. That requires money. That is something the Republican Party of Wisconsin does not have. We will dive into that because it is becoming a massive, massive issue. Stay tuned. More of the Dan O'Donnell Show next. Hey, Dan O'Donnell here for Mander Collision and Glass, where I've been taking my vehicles for years. People always ask me, Dan, are they really that good? And I always say, they're better. The workmanship is outstanding, and it's backed by a lifetime warranty, but what really sets Mander apart is the customer service they provide and their attention to detail. Just listen to this 5-star review from Greg. Brian and the crew took excellent care of my car. Professional, friendly, and kept in good contact throughout the entire process. Could not recommend a better place. Thanks for the great service and experience. The work they did was awesome, and my car looks amazing. Mine always have two, Greg. That's why I've referred at least a dozen friends and family members to Mander over the years, and all of them had the exact same experience that Greg did. You will too. All you need to do is to start your repair today by heading to mandercollision.com.
We're the Libby family
at Do-It-Yourself Bathroom Center near State Fair on 62nd and Greenfield.
If your bathroom needs work, we're the place to go.
Our people really know their stuff, and we install.
Plus, nobody beats our prices. Remember our slogan,
I did it myself at Do-It-Yourself.
There are only a handful of carpet cleaning companies in the country who guarantee results, and we're one of them. It's no wonder why we're Wisconsin's most trusted carpet cleaner.
Edelman Carpet, Furniture, and Drapery Cleaning.
It's Edelman again. Edelman.
David Brownsdorf, president of Flawless Flooring, recommending iNet for web development and SEO.
That's all?
And graphic design, photography, and video.
That's more like it, Dave. Flawless installed luxury vinyl at 3 properties I own, including iNet. The 8 separate projects were easy, turned out beautiful, exceptional value, and are extremely durable.
But wait, there's more. iNet's creative genius branding and radio gives Flawless a unique identity, making us stand out. Hiring iNet is casting a net that pulls in customers your business wants and needs.
Clever, Dave. Haha. You just might have a future in radio ad writing.
My future is secure in flooring, partially because we cast our iNet 5 years ago.
Having Flawless replace pet stain and stink-saturated carpet is a smell and sight upgrade, making every day more beautiful and less gross. Flawless Flooring, LLC.com.
Having iNet replace underperforming web, radio, and e-marketing enhances business opportunity for profitable growth. iNet-web.com, creativegeniusmarketing.com.
Walking the dog, climbing stairs, dancing at your daughter's wedding, life is full of movement. But when hip or knee pain makes every step a struggle, it's time for expert care. When I couldn't take the everyday pain from my hip anymore, my first thought was to reach out to the team at Orthopedic Associates of Wisconsin to see what could be done. The pain was excruciating. I tolerated it, but it was time to do something about pain relief for my hip. It was the best decision I've ever made. I haven't felt this good in years. At Orthopedic Associates of Wisconsin, they provide specialized total joint replacement with same-day surgery and cutting-edge technology, so you recover faster and get back to the moments that matter. I was amazed at how quickly I was in and out of surgery and how well I recovered. Take it from me, don't wait. Book your appointment at orthowisconsin.com. That's orthowisconsin.com. Orthopedic Associates of Wisconsin, there is a difference.
Here's why. Injured? It is about the money. Warshawski.com. I'm attorney Frank Crivello of the Warshawski Personal Injury Law Firm. Many personal injury firms operate as settlement clearinghouses. It's a low overhead, except for the cost of marketing, and profitable business model for a law firm. They advertise, take cases, and negotiate settlements. They get paid, their clients get paid, everyone is happy. Or are they? If you have a multi-million-dollar injury and settle for a few $100,000, your standard of living for the rest of your life will be terribly impacted. On the other side is Warshawski. From the moment we take your case, we prepare to win at trial. Warshawski is a collection of some of the most accomplished and award-winning personal injury attorneys in Wisconsin, with the most experienced investigators and legal professionals backing their every move. Making injured Wisconsinites whole isn't a game or an act. At Warshawski, it is our calling. We will hold the defendants accountable in your case by making them pay. Injured? It is about the money. Warshawski.com, 414-276-4970.
It's bicycle sale time at Emery's Bike Shop. Time to get more butts on bikes. And who gets more butts, more comfortable, on more bikes? Emery's Bike Shop, of course. More bike savings, too. At Emery's, not at the Fair Park. More info at emerys.com.
Wayfinder Life-Changing Travel is back for Season 2. Join us as we explore breathtaking natural beauty and the layered history of destinations around the world.
One of the things that really struck me about my time in Alaska, there's just a more dramatic starkness where the water and the land meet. It really is just a magical landscape.
So come along as Season 2 takes off. Open your free iHeartRadio app, search Wayfinder, and listen now.
This is what matters. This is beyond X's and O's. This is the difference mutual respect makes. This is what character looks like. This is what defines us in Wisconsin. This is sportsmanship. School sports. It's not the outcome that matters most, but the way the games are played. This message presented by the Wisconsin Interscholastic Athletic Association and the Wisconsin Athletic Directors Association.
No radio handy?
No problem. Listen to WISN's live audio stream 24/7 via the web. Just click on the Listen Online tab at newstalk1130.com.
Brewers fall in Boston to the Red Sox 5-0. Red Sox take that series 2-1. You know what Maria Lazar calls a 5-0 loss? Pretty good night. So that's a pretty good. I'm kidding. I love Maria. I really do. And that's what. She is such a kind-hearted, good person. She did everything wrong on this campaign. There's just no other way to put it. There is no other way to put it. I tried to stage an on-air radio intervention. I called her Dan Kelly in a dress. I'm sorry. I just thought that was too perfect. Kelly did the exact same thing. Kelly, when he ran against Janet Protasewicz, our good friends over at Wisconsin Right Now, Jessica McBride was, I don't even know how she found Janet Protasewicz's former stepson, I guess. She was married to this guy's father. And it is well known in judicial circles that Janet let's just say she likes to party. Okay, let's just say she should not be driving around with Tiger Woods or the new mayor of Waukesha because bad things would happen. Well, it turns out that this guy said Protasewicz would just get absolutely blotto and abuse his father, Protasewicz's much older husband. He's on camera. He is on record. I believe Jessica even went to one of his friends who said, yes, I saw this happen too. Clearly, this guy was not lying. Kelly did absolutely nothing with that. You got the husband was deceased. He had passed away many years ago. But this was in the waning weeks of the campaign. We covered this extensively. This was in 2023 on the Dan O'Donnell Show. It was great journalism by Jessica. And Kelly did nothing with it. And I had him on this show, and I said, Dan, are you going to just go after Protasewicz? There are serious questions about her character. There are serious questions about whether she is emotionally fit to be a Supreme Court justice. And he said, no, I'm not, because he said something about his father was a cowboy and gave him the Good Kelly name, and he couldn't tarnish that. Well, in his concession speech, he finally loses his temper and just goes off on Protasewicz for being just an awful human being and running a terrible campaign. Little too late. Lazar, of course, is far too decent and far too classy. She had a very classy concession speech. But the fact that she, like Kelly before her, was unable, or rather unwilling, to do what it takes to win. Do you think if Janet Protasewicz had fallen to her lap evidence that Dan Kelly was beating the hell out of his wife, she wouldn't use that? That would be all you heard about. Kelly would have been forced to drop out of the race. He would have dropped out of the race while early voting was going on. But we have candidates who just don't use this stuff. That's the biggest problem. Okay? The biggest problem that conservatives have is candidate quality. I'm not saying judicial quality. Lazar is an excellent judge. She's an excellent person. She just did not understand how to campaign. Chrissy Taylor, the veteran Wisconsin Democrat assemblywoman, the Planned Parenthood shill, clearly understood politics at a molecular level. And that's why she won. She won. In order to get these candidates over the hump, the last state Supreme Court race that conservatives won was in 2019. Brian Hagedorn, who has been, of course, a huge disappointment, to say the least, in his 7 years on the bench, he won by 6,000 votes. And he was considered, like Lazar, like Dan Kelly, a dead man walking, politically speaking, in the waning days of the campaign. Well, I actually got information on a bunch of cases that his opponent, Lisa Neubauer, ruled on, in which her husband's company was a party. And wouldn't you know it, she ruled very heavily in favor of the husband's company. I mean, it was just incredibly unethical behavior by this judge. That reporting, and that actually was a big deal. This was kind of in the era where I would report something, and the Milwaukee Journal-Sentinel would actually report on it. I believe it got a couple of TV news hits. It was a big deal, and it convinced a Republican group and conservative groups to actually come in with last-second cash buys, ad buys, and cash drops for Brian Hagedorn, and he won. He came back and he won. Money matters. Overall cash spending was a disaster for Lazar. Chris Taylor raised around $6 million. Lazar, about $1 million. A 6-to-1 financial edge for Taylor. Now, it's not just how much you raise, it's how much you and your allies spend. Because super PACs, political groups, they can spend pretty much unlimited money on your behalf. You need to have the sort of institutional advantage that Lazar did not have. According to Ad Impact, Lazar and her allies were outspent 15-1 on ads and get out the vote efforts. 15-1. No surprise that she lost by more than 15%, right? Now, where does most of the funding come from in these nonpartisan races? Well, rather obviously, from the partisan political parties. And here you see a massive disparity in fundraising, cash on hand, and all of it that simply cannot be ignored. The Republican Party and the Democratic Party both have two separate funds. They have a federal account for spending on, say, congressional races, Senate races. This is what's going to be tapped into for, say, re-electing Derek Van Orden, Brian Stiles, Scott Fitzgerald in the fall. State funding was what would be tapped into for this race. And I'm just going to go on state accounts now. In the February 3rd to March 23rd reporting period, the Democratic Party of Wisconsin raised $952,000 and spent about $1.5 million. They transferred about $700,000 to Chris Taylor. The Republican Party of Wisconsin raised $239,000, spent $479,000, and transferred about $75,000 to Lazar. Democrats raised 4 times more money, and they gave 10 times more to their candidate. Ladies and gentlemen, the primary goal and the primary function of a political party is to fundraise, especially in Wisconsin, where we have what's known as the state party loophole in campaign finance law. You can donate unlimited amounts of money to the Republican Party of Wisconsin or the Democratic Party of Wisconsin or a local or county party. And the party can then, in turn, transfer unlimited amounts of money to any candidate it wants. It doesn't have to be subject to, say, a $10,000 campaign limit per cycle. This is where you can get $2 million, $3 million, $5 million transfers that are coming through. This is also why so many national liberals like George Soros, like Jeffrey Epstein's sleepover buddy, Reid Hoffman, who just happens to be the single biggest donor to the Democratic Party of Wisconsin over the past decade, and Illinois' Governor J.B. Pritzker have given tens of millions of dollars to the Democrat Party of Wisconsin. None of them have any ties to Wisconsin, except, of course, Pritzker, who apparently wants to run 2 states and not just one into the ground. They're getting money from all over the country. Democrats, because of this loophole, which rather sadly, ironically, was passed by Governor Walker and Republicans in the legislature about a decade or so ago, thinking that they would have the cash advantage forever. Well, they don't, because of all the tech bros, left-wing Silicon Valley sudden billionaires who are just giving tons and tons of money to Democrats all across the country. Well, the former Democratic Party chairman, Ben Wickler, said to all of these California billionaires, you can give money in California, sure, it's not going to matter. Democrats are always going to win. But what if you could control the state that is very likely to decide every presidential race, the ultimate swing state of Wisconsin? All of a sudden, the out-of-state money started pouring in every single time. We had a grand total of 1 election where Republican and conservative money was able to match it. That was last year, and that was one guy. That was Elon Musk coming in and spending a fortune, and Democrats simply ran against Elon Musk. The money advantage was essentially moot. In a race where you don't have a polarizing figure like Musk giving the money, and of course, nobody in Wisconsin media is ever going to say the name Reid Hoffman or George Soros being the primary funders of Democrats for obvious reasons. But because Republicans have not nationalized these races, because Republicans have not expanded the voter base beyond the borders of Wisconsin, they are falling into a significant fundraising hole. Now, I have been saying for a year now, as much as I like Brian Schimming, the chairman of the Republican Party of Wisconsin, I love him. He was a fill-in on this show before he got the gig. I have done tons of events with him. I have talked to him over and over again. I think he's fantastic. He is not the right man for the job. The job is not pumping up the base. Candidates do that. The job is 100% raising money. And thus far in his tenure, Schimming has shown, and I'm not going to give the leadership committee a break either. Everybody at the top levels of the Republican Party of Wisconsin have shown that they are unable to do the single most critical thing that they need to do, and that is raise gobs and gobs of money. Because as I'm going to explain in the next hour, Democrats have a much easier job on voter turnout because all of their voters are centrally located in 2 cities. We are much more dependent now on the far-flung corners of the state. That requires more money on get-out-the-vote efforts. I just think it is unfortunately time to clean house in the Republican Party, get people there who do nothing but fundraise. I don't care if the person never says a word to me, never goes to a Lincoln Day dinner or anything like that, and just has a phone glued to their head. In fact, that is going to be one of my requirements for the next RPW chair. You need to have a cell phone super glued to your ear so you are constantly on the phone with every right-leaning billionaire that you can find in the entire country. We name the Unhinged Liberal of the Day coming up next.
From the Lynch Truck Center in Waterford Total Traffic Center.
At the Zoo interchange, you got a stall on the ramp from 894 northbound to westbound 94. Eastbound on 94 are going to be slammed from Hawley to 35th. 43 southbound stopping and going center to the Marquette. I'm Kevin Henry. That's your latest total traffic.
This report is sponsored by Grand Appliance. Need an appliance fast? Shop Grand Appliance for next day delivery and the lowest prices on everyday top brands like Cafe, GE, and more. Visit grandappliance.com or your local Grand showroom for complete details. That's Grand Appliance, appliance expert since 1930.
When business slows down, some companies race to the bottom. Lower prices, faster jobs, corners cut, less service, less time spent where you don't see it. We've chosen a different path. At Color Wheel Painting, we maintain high standards year-round. Careful prep, proper materials, professional crews who respect your home. We won't be the lowest bid, but we will stand behind the work long after the sale signs come down. ColorWheelPainting.com. Not cheap, worth every penny. Some homeowners pay once. Some homeowners pay twice. The first time, for the lowest bid. The second time, to fix it. This time of year, there are painters offering prices that sound almost too good to be true. Sometimes they are. Because professional painting isn't a race. It's prep, protection, process. At Color Wheel Painting, we don't cut corners to cut price. We do it right, so you only do it once. We're the right investment, worth every penny. ColorWheelPainting.com.
We've all seen the memes about the 17 different seasons Wisconsin has just for spring. Are we in fake spring number 3 now? Again, it's hard to keep track. I say this because we're at the point now where we need to start thinking about flip-flops and shorts and rocking that farmer's tan. If you want to lose weight before summer starts, how about working with Milwaukee Weight Loss? I've seen results. I'm Dave Michaels. There's a number on my scale right now that I haven't seen since I was in college at Whitewater. And there's been little to no exercise with Milwaukee Weight Loss's program. Plus, I'm not counting points. Their team in Brookfield has been working with me one-on-one since late last year. Now my body fat range is healthy, my BMI is fantastic, and I'm as mobile and feeling as good as I ever have. A lot of patients lose anywhere between 20 and 30 pounds in about a month or two. You can get a free weight loss consultation when you call 262-433-4007, 262-433-4007, or go online, MilwaukeeWeightLoss.com.
I'm Ryan Harrison, owner of Ryan Waterproofing. Does it seem like storms travel hundreds of miles out of their way against prevailing winds to keep your basement damp, wet, moldy, even flooded? It isn't going to resolve itself. Freezing and thawing over time expands damage to walls, foundations, and even your family's health. That's not purified water seeping or running through your basement walls. It's filth, carrying every sort of bacteria, fungus, and mold. Only Ryan Waterproofing has an estimator, project coordinator you'll love. Ashley's expert, honest, and will make you comfortable with the solutions proposed, and she'll be with you every step of the project. Doesn't matter how bad the cracks or sag in your basement walls are. Ryan has affordable sealant and water abatement solutions for most basements, with convenient financing options including 18 months no-interest financing. You actually might enjoy walking in the rain when it's not in your basement. Contact Ryan today, because praying for drought is overrated. Ryan Waterproofing. CallRyan.com. That's call RION.com. Call Ryan.com.
Simplify keeps you safe, warm, and dry. For a free estimate, go to simplifyroofing.com.
I'm Tim Scott. Another memory from the Wisconsin Athletic Hall of Fame is next.
Distracted driving was the cause of more than 3,000 deaths in 2022. Come on, we're smarter than this. Let's put down the phones and focus on the roads. Drive safe, everybody.
Don't drive distracted. A message brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, Project Yellow Light, and the Ad Council.
The date was April 4th, 2015. Bo Ryan and his Wisconsin Badger men's basketball team faced Kentucky in the Final Four. The Wildcats entered the game riding a 38-game winning streak, but behind 20 points from Frank Kaminsky and the clutch play of Sam Decker, the Badgers pulled off one of the biggest upsets in tournament history, winning 71-64. As for Bo, he would be inducted into the Wisconsin Athletic Hall of Fame in 2016. Coming in July, a new class of inductees will be honored. For more information, log on to WIHallOfFame.com.
In 21st century America, it's hard to know who or what to believe. The bureaucracy embraces its own agenda. The news media vilifies traditional American values. Social media is a sewer of disinformation. News Talk 1130 WISN is the counterpoint to all of it. We believe in intellectual honesty, and we believe that good and decent people are more than capable of processing that honesty and be better off for it. Believe us, because we believe in you. News Talk 1130 WISN.
An update on the ceasefire that was announced yesterday between the United States and Iran. White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt gives a briefing. We run it all down. The daily Trump date is coming up right after the top of the hour. And then we get right back into an extended post-mortem of the spring election. It was not all bad news, folks, believe it or not, although that is the narrative, that is what the media is going with. And no, I'm not going to pretend that losing by 20 in a statewide race 7 months before the first gubernatorial race that doesn't include an incumbent in 15, 16 years is a good thing. Republicans are already running into as many headwinds as one could possibly run into in a midterm. This is not ideal, but it's not the end of the world. We'll get back to that in just a second. But first, I think we all need a laugh, huh? Unhinged liberal of the daytime.
Trump is Hitler.
We are in pre-Nazi Germany.
All white people are racist.
Trump is dangerous because he's evil.
America is over.
Today's unhinged liberal of the day is this unnamed lib of TikTok, found by, of course, the libs of TikTok, who is filming herself beating a life-sized Donald Trump dummy.
It is Monday morning, and you're still alive. Oh my God, what bullshit was that this weekend? What fucking bullshit was that this weekend? Pretending to go to the hospital, pretending. I mean, you gave us hope. Fuck. And it turns out you're still breathing. Fuck, man. Anyway, I made my video yesterday before I saw what you had said. We fucking hate you. We fucking hate you. We fucking hate you. So someone asked how many orange steaks I had. I used to have 5. Now I only have 3. I wonder where they went.
She stuck them into the Trump dummy. So, yeah, that's mental illness on display. That woman, your unhinged liberal of the day.
All programs on News Talk 1130 WISN are broadcast through the Annex Wealth Management Studios. Annex Wealth Management. Know the difference. Stay informed all day, every day on News Talk 1130 WISN. Milwaukee, an iHeartRadio station. Guaranteed human.
Good afternoon, I'm Ted Allen. Waukesha's next mayor was voted in during yesterday's spring election. Common Council President Alicia Halvensleben will succeed current Mayor Sean Riley after defeating State Representative Scott Allen by less than 500 votes. The Justice Department says today former Attorney General Pam Bondi won't appear before the House Oversight Committee next week to answer questions about the Jeffrey Epstein case because since Bondi can no longer testify as Attorney General, the subpoena no longer applies. The Business Report, the Dow is up over 1,300 points after the ceasefire in Iran. Checking the holiday automotive of Fond du Lac Sports scoreboard, the Brewers fall to the Red Sox 5-0. From the Orthopedic Associates of Wisconsin News Center, I'm Ted Allen on Wisconsin's most listened to radio station, News Talk 1130 WISN.
Here's the latest forecast, powered by WillysWorldCustoms.com from the Fox 6 weather experts.
Partly sunny, windy, and warm today with temperatures reaching into the 50s and 60s. Rain returns after 9 p.m. and tapers off by early Thursday morning. Sunny the rest of the day with a high of 60, then more rain Thursday night into Friday morning. I'm Fox 6 meteorologist Stephanie Barrichello.
This report is sponsored by Allstate. Wish you could save on home insurance? With Allstate, you could easily save and get quality protection. Yep, it's a win-win. So what are you waiting for? Check Allstate first for a quote today. You're in good hands with Allstate.
Sometimes when you walk into a business, you get that vibe that these people really got this thing nailed down. That's exactly the vibe I got when I bought my SUV at Holiday Mazda. The Holiday staff, completely focused and professional, but also relaxed and upbeat and genuinely friendly. Best experience I've ever had buying a vehicle. I loved it, and you know what? So will you. Hey, it's Jerry Bott, and I drive Holiday.
Connect with the road. Love what you drive and where you get it. During the Spring Forward sales event at Holiday Mazda in Fond du Lac, well-qualified buyers can lock in money-saving offers. Offers like low 0.9% 5-year financing on Mazda favorites, including raved about all-wheel drive 2025 Mazda CX-5, off-road ready 2026 Mazda CX-50 models, blast to drive Mazda 3, and more. Come be our guest. Treat yourself to a test drive. Find yours and drive it home today from Holiday Mazda Fond du Lac and at holidaymazda.com.
It's worth the trip.
For 100 years, Bayview Shade and Blind has been a part of your home. We've seen growing families, changing styles, and a few design trends best left in the past. Bayview Shade and Blind, sharing a little sunshine from our family to yours.
A small business affirmation from Progressive. Plumbers, today will be a good day. You will be profitable. Your clients will be nice. No one will stand over you and tell you how to fix the thing they actually hired you to fix. You will also feel at peace after switching to Progressive, America's #1 commercial auto insurer. See if you can save in as little as 8 minutes at progressivecommercial.com.
Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates, #1 commercial auto insurer from the NAIC's 2024 National Premium Data.
Wesley Financial Group is not a law firm, and Chuck McDowell, definitely not an attorney. This is Chuck. If someone talked you into buying something really silly and you want to get out of that silly little thing, my advice, get the facts. Call me and I'll send you our timeshare exit kit absolutely free. Inside, you'll learn how timeshare works and all your options for cancellation.
Call Wesley now for your free timeshare exit information kit. 800-809-7171. That's 800-809-7171.
Offering one of the strongest lineups of talk show hosts in the history of local radio. This is Wisconsin's most listened to radio station. News Talk 1130, WISN.
When I decided to remodel my kitchen, it was important to see more than just designs and drawings. Wisconsin Kitchen Mart made it easy with more fully built kitchen displays than anywhere else. The showroom made all the difference when making important design decisions. Along with their talented team of experienced designers, decorators, and installers, my dream kitchen came to life.
Celebrate 75 years with Wisconsin Kitchen Mart and save. Book your consultation by the end of May and take advantage of our Celebration Savings event. For 75 years, we've been creating kitchen and bathroom remodels that stand apart. We design kitchens that run like a well-oiled machine, beautiful, functional, and made for everyday living. And yes, bathrooms are designed with the same care. See it all inside our 18,000 square foot showroom with complete displays featuring Play-Doh custom cabinetry, countertops, fixtures, flooring, and appliances, all under one roof. Higher design, higher style, higher Wisconsin Kitchen Mart. Visit WisconsinKitchenMart.com today.
Your home clean
Milwaukee Admirals wrap up a 5-game road trip Wednesday night when they take on the Manitoba Moose in Winnipeg. Top of the near circle, Willis Lee for Osterley. Osterley with a shot through traffic, and he scores! Jordan Osterley! Pre-game coverage at 6:30, face-off at 7 on Fox Sports 920 and the iHeartRadio app.
No radio handy?
No problem. Listen to WISN's live audio stream 24/7 via the web. Just click on the Listen Online tab at newstalk1130.com.
Obviously not the night conservatives wanted, but maybe, probably, the night conservatives deserved. Yes, I mean that. Welcome back to the Dan O'Donnell Show. We have done everything wrong as a party and as a movement in Supreme Court races in pretty much every spring election this decade. And a 20-point loss should be a wake-up call. I would have thought that 2 straight 10-point losses when control of the court was actually at stake in 2025 and 2023 would have been a wake-up call, but I guess not. I guess not. Maybe a 20-point shellacking by Maria Lazar is it. Now, we spent a lot of the last hour talking about the problems with the candidate, the problems with the messaging, the problems with the fundraising. And people are saying, look, you know, what is the evidence that the cycle isn't going to repeat 7 months from now, that Tom Tiffany isn't going to get absolutely shellacked in the gubernatorial race? I am presuming that Tiffany is going to be the nominee. It's because of things like this. Today, Tiffany was holding a press conference as part of an effort to get Governor Evers to sign on to a national school choice program. Kelda Roys, who's a Democrat state senator, actually ambushed Tiffany at that press conference. She was recording a Facebook Live, or maybe an Instagram Live or a TikTok, I don't know. But she was recording herself. She's holding a microphone, and she goes right up to Tiffany at this press conference to try to hold him to account on Donald Trump. And Donald Trump supposedly ending Iranian civilization. Tiffany masterfully shut her down. In fact, in an era where libs have been owned, online, in the streets, at the ballot box, maybe not last night, but there have been a lot of libs who have been owned. This might have been the single greatest owning of a lib I have ever seen. It is an exclusive video presented to our brand new digital web initiative, the Heartland Post. You can see it at the Heartland Post's Facebook and X pages, at Heartland Post WI on X, facebook.com/the Heartland Post. Kelda Roys goes up to Tom Tiffany, starts asking him hectoring questions about President Trump and the war in Iran. Tiffany perfectly deflects those and then turns it around on Roys by reminding her she's polling at 1% in the governor's race. Ouch.
What is your response? I mean, how are you going to hold him accountable for this kind of very dangerous, violent rhetoric?
So did he bomb Iran?
Well, yes, he did. He started a war with Iran. He's been bombing Iran.
But did he at, what was it, 8 o'clock last night? Wasn't that when it was supposed to be called for? By the way, yes. I would just share with all of you, Senator Roys is doing this in an attempt to get her campaign off the ground because her numbers are so low that she has to come out and talk to me in order to elevate her poll numbers. That's why she's here to talk to me.
Oh, my God. If I was Kelda Roys, I would just drop out right now. You are not coming back from that. And ladies and gentlemen, this is how you run a race. Turn it right back on the libs. Tom Tiffany is no shrinking violet. He is no Maria Lazar. All respect to Maria. He is no Dan Kelly. All respect to Dan. He is aware of how the game is played, and he just played it more masterfully than any lib was ever prepared for. Least of all, Senator Kelda Roys. Again, you need to share that. If there is any day that you need to share a little bit of good old-fashioned lib owning, it is today. Please do follow our brand new website. I am the editor-in-chief of the Heartland Post, heartlandpost.com. Thank you all for using our Ultimate Conservative Voter Guide. We like to think that we drove a few people to the polls and helped them vote for the right candidates. Find that video, share it, retweet it, do whatever you can with it at Heartland Post, WI, Facebook.com/Heartland Post. I've retweeted it, of course. I have shared it on my Facebook, Facebook.com/Dan O'Donnell Show, at Dan O'Donnell Show on X. That is how you do it. Time now for the Daily Trump Date. This, of course, is not the Daily Trump Date theme. Producer Andrew, this is my fault. He's hanging his head in shame. Get your head up. We've got a show to do. This is my fault because I told him to get up that Kelda Helen Roys cut as quickly as possible. You know what? I'll tell you what. Let's stop this. Let's bask in the glory of Tom Tiffany owning Kelda Roys again while we get the Daily Trump Date theme going. What is your response? I mean, how are you going to hold him accountable for this kind of very dangerous, violent rhetoric?
So did he bomb Iran?
Well, yeah. She goes, what's your response to this dangerous rhetoric? Tiffany just goes, so did he actually bomb, or did he get a ceasefire that you people were all screaming about?
Yes, did he? And he started a war with Iran. He's been bombing Iran.
But did he at, 8 o'clock last night? Wasn't that when it was supposed to be called for? By the way, yes. I would just share.
She had no idea how to respond. She just had none. He's already in the process of owning her. Then he goes to the reporters are the ones who are gathered around. Folks, I got this from someone who was standing with the reporters who were all laughing at Kelda Roys. Do you know how badly you have to own a lib to have fellow lib reporters laughing at her with you?
With all of you, Senator Roys is doing this in an attempt to get her campaign off the ground because her numbers are so low that she has to come out and talk to me in order to elevate her poll numbers. That's why she's here to talk to me.
The only guy who does that any better is Trump. I'm going to start calling him Tom Trumpany.
We're going to win so much, you may even get tired of winning.
Trump just keeps winning.
It is a win for the administration.
It's also a big win for the United States.
We have to keep winning. We have to win more. We're going to win more.
The White House is giving details today on that ceasefire. White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt at a briefing today.
The president's maximum pressure and the leverage created by the success of Operation Epic Fury led to the Iranian regime asking for and ultimately agreeing to a ceasefire proposal with the United States.
Now, Leavitt says the media should make no mistake about what happened here. Iran caved out of fear of what President Trump would do at his 8 p.m. Eastern Time deadline.
Iran could no longer tolerate being bombed or taking the gamble of what was to come following President Trump's 8 p.m. deadline last night. Iran has agreed to open the Strait of Hormuz, and as the president said, we have received a proposal from the Iranians that has been determined to be a workable basis on which to negotiate.
Now, originally, the Iranians cited and supposedly put forth what the media was reporting as a workable 10-point plan. Leavitt said that was dismissed out of hand. It was crumpled up and thrown in the garbage. But then, after the blustery and defiant 10-point plan that was leaked to the press, there was one that was delivered privately to the president, which included all of the concessions that America wanted. Now, Leavitt On this theme of Iran saying one thing to the public, saying one thing to the press, and another behind closed doors because, you know, it doesn't want to be obliterated in its dealings with President Trump, she was asked about a report that was out there that Iran remained defiant and would not reopen the Strait of Hormuz.
With respect to the first reporting out of Iranian state media, the president was made aware of those reports before I came to the podium. That is completely unacceptable. And again, this is a case of what they're saying publicly is different privately. We have seen an uptick of traffic in the Strait today, and I will reiterate the president's expectation and demand that the Strait of Hormuz is reopened immediately, quickly, and safely. That is his expectation. It has been relayed to him privately that is what's taking place, and these reports publicly are false.
Primarily because Iran simply can't be trusted in its public dealings, and that's why so much care is being taken in these negotiations. Leavitt announced that the president's negotiating team, Steve Witkoff, Jared Kushner, and Vice President J.D. Vance, would be deployed to Islamabad, Pakistan, for the first stage of negotiations. And as those negotiations unfold, she cautioned the press, again, don't trust what Iran says to you.
These extraordinarily sensitive and complex negotiations will take place behind closed doors over the course of the next 2 weeks. I would strongly advise the media against running with narratives that have no basis in fact. What Iran says publicly or feeds to all of you in the press is much different than what they communicate to the United States, the president, and his team privately. Never underestimate President Trump's ability to successfully advance America's interests and broker peace.
And the White House press secretary once again reiterated why Operation Epic Fury was needed, saying that because of the unprecedented strike and decapitation of the Ayatollah and his regime, his top leadership, Iran no longer poses a threat to its neighbors, the United States, or the world at large.
Prior to the start of this successful operation, Iran was aggressively expanding its short-range ballistic missile arsenal. Through these weapons and its Navy, Iran was attempting to build a military buildup around their country that would pose an imminent and existential threat to the United States military assets in the Middle East, our allies in the region, and ultimately the free world. Iran was pursuing this dangerous and aggressive strategy for one reason: to hold the entire world hostage to its terrorist ambitions. The Iranians aim to use their expanded military capabilities as a shield around their country to continue achieving their ultimate goal internally, building nuclear bombs. But their murderous and evil plans have been blown up, quite literally and figuratively, along with their military, their nuclear program, and most of their senior leadership, including the former Supreme Leader Ayatollah Ali Khamenei.
The only thing she didn't add at the end of that was a womp womp sound effect. That, ladies and gentlemen, is your daily Trump date. Obviously, the state Supreme Court race was an utter disaster for conservatives, and it's led to widespread blackpilling, which means just dooming, just despair, saying we're never going to win another statewide race. We can't possibly win another statewide race. As I said last hour, it's led to some of the Never Trump movement to come out of the woodwork and say, now is the time to abandon Trump. And with it, all of our conservative principles, I guess we need to be more like lefties if we want to win this state. No, we most certainly do not. Tom Tiffany is not Maria Lazar. He's not Dan Kelly. I'm telling you, everyone is sleeping on this man's political skill, as evidenced by his utter owning of Senator Kelda Roys. Do you know how desperate Kelda Roys is, by the way? She actually had her PR people try to get her on my show. Yeah, this was a couple of weeks ago, and I thought, yes, why not? And then I was off for a couple of days. The moment passed. I said, wow, that's actually kind of incredible. Now, she wanted to, of course, do the exact same thing that she tried to do to Tom Tiffany, lecture me about heaven knows what. Folks, if Tom Tiffany could do that to her, could you imagine her on this show? I actually would feel bad. Okay, I wouldn't totally feel bad. I would think about maybe feeling bad for hitting her with as many facts as I would be able to on whatever it was that we wanted to discuss. Okay, folks, if Congressman Mark Pocan is too scared to come on this show. What chance does State Senator Kelda Roys have? By the way, my open challenge to Congressman Pocan, $5,000 to the charity of his choice. All he has to do is sit down for an interview with me. That's it. He won't do it. He has refused to do it. Real tough on X, though. Weird how that works. There were a lot of bright spots, believe it or not, in the Supreme Court election. Not the Supreme Court election per se, but in the spring election. Remember, there were hundreds of races on the ballot. A big surprise to me, and a welcome surprise. One of the most ardent conservatives on the Milwaukee County Board, Patty Logsdon, who I thought was actually going to be in a little bit of trouble from a well-financed lib opponent by the name of Dr. Masood Khan, she won easily. She won by about 10, 15 points. And the last couple of races that she had, she just barely squeaked by. She won really easily. I'd like to think that our reporting the day before the election that Dr. Khan gave a donation to the Legal Defense Fund of an actual honest-to-goodness terrorist, Salah Sarsour, the detained head of the Milwaukee Islamic Society, who actually was convicted back in Jordan of firebombing innocent Israeli homes because Israeli soldiers live there. So apparently, according to Sarsour, it was perfectly fine to launch Molotov cocktails where women and children sleep. Terrorist. He is a terrorist. He's accused of funding terrorist activities and funneling money back to Hamas. He lied about his immigration papers, and wouldn't you know it, Masood Khan gave to his legal defense fund. Another big bright spot for conservatives, a very good judicial candidate by the name of Grant Scaife, won rather easily in Washington County. Again, a conservative county, but rather bizarre that Washington County, one of the most conservative in the entire states, has a judiciary that is almost entirely made up of Tony Evers lib nominees, because it's sort of a thing in legal circles, in judicial circles, that once someone is elected to the bench, it's almost considered poor form to run against them. And only conservatives play by these Marcus of Queensberry rules. Democrats spent years purging every single Scott Walker appointee from the Milwaukee County or Dane County benches. Court of Appeals as well. Wherever there was a Scott Walker appointee, there was a challenge, and Democrats would get out to ensure that that appointee was defeated the first time they stood for re-election. Well, Grant Scaife actually challenged an Evers appointee by the name of Gordon Leach, and he won. He ran a very good campaign. He was well funded. He was well spoken. We had him on Monday, and he won. Brookfield Mayor Steve Ponto turns back a massively funded lib opponent by the name of Mike Hallquist in a city that is getting more and more blue. Brookfield is unfortunately seeing a whole lot of refugees from Wauwatosa who are bringing their lib politics with them as they're moving on up to the, I guess, west side, east side of Waukesha County. He won, and he won rather easily, even though he was outspent probably 5-6 to 1. New Richmond, out in the New Richmond School Board, amid the controversy surrounding the school bathroom policy, where they were just allowing any boy who wanted to go in the girls' locker room to go in. This led to widespread outrage, a Title IX investigation by the Trump Justice Department. The president of their school board went down to defeat, proving two things. One, if you have a hot button issue that you are able to use, it does not matter what your opponent has in terms of inherent advantages. The school board president up there, he had the power of the incumbency. Mike Hallquist in Brookfield had the advantage of a massive amount of money. Both lost. If you run good candidates with a record of achievement like Steve Ponto, the mayor of Brookfield, who's getting another term, pardon me, like the challenger in New Richmond, you can win. Not only that, we're going to get into this in just a second, and this has huge ramifications for the gubernatorial race this fall, even though nobody quite realizes it yet. A huge bright spot for conservatives, school referendums, even in places like Whitefish Bay, go down to defeat. Property taxes, folks, is a real issue for Republicans that they can use to win in the fall.
From the Lynch Buick GMC of West Bend Total Traffic Center.
Eastbound on 94 before 76, a crash taken out the 2 left lanes. Solid delays back to 84th and Building. Then you're heavy again with road work between Hawley and 35th Street. I'm Kevin Henry. That's your latest Total Traffic.
This report is sponsored by Infinity Exteriors. The best lifetime workmanship warranty, fully transparent pricing, and over 60,000 happy customers. At Infinity Exteriors, they're on a mission to save communities from unscrupulous contractors. InfinityExteriors.com.
Ever wonder what it takes to feel truly wealthy and financially comfortable? Schwab asked Americans that question, and most said at least $2 million. But here's the thing, your number might be different. And that makes sense because your dreams, travel, retirement, and the legacy you want to leave are unique to you. That's why you need advice that's just as personal. The team at Annex Wealth Management is ready to listen and help you build a plan that fits your life. Click the Get Started button at AnnexWealth.com.
Hey, it's Dan for CertaPro Painters, who you can trust to get the job done right because they take pride in what they do. The process is worry-free, starting with a free estimate. Each CertaPro Painters business is independently owned and operated right here in our community. Schedule your free estimate online at CertaPro.com. That's Certa with a C, pro.com. And ask about their spring sales event for 10% off qualifying projects through May 15th.
Hi, this is Paul Levy with Lake Country Flat Fee. If you're selling your home, you don't need to give away thousands of dollars in commission. Our flat fee model delivers full-service real estate with experienced local agents who've been helping sellers for more than 2 decades. Same advice, same results, just a smarter way to sell. Don't pay more than you have to. Our sellers save about 50% versus a traditional 6% broker. To learn more or to schedule a free market analysis, visit our website at lakecountryflatfee.com.
For more information about contests on News Talk 1130 WISN, go to newstalk1130.com/rules.
For safe, purified water right from your faucet, the solution is crystal clear.
Any project, big or small, when it comes to water, one call does it all. SNK, pump and plumbing.
Make News Talk 1130 WISN your #1 preset on our free iHeartRadio app. Powered by Gruber Law.
One call, that's all.
Injured?
Remember, one call, that's all.
Opinion, emotion, passion. This is News Talk 1130 WISN.
iHeartRadio is the easy-to-use app for music and radio. Download the free iHeartRadio app today.
Conservative thought, not just talk.
This is the Dan O'Donnell Show.
It used to be, not that long ago, in fact, pretty much last year, that voters were giving school districts essentially blank checks by passing every single school referendum on the ballot. This year, would you believe that even Whitefish Bay rejected a referendum 52% to 48%. Whitefish Bay is, it might be the world's epicenter of liberal wine ants. When you think of liberal wine ants, and everybody's got a liberal wine ant in your family, ladies, if it's sort of like rounders, right? It's sort of like poker. If you can't spot the sucker at the table, you are the sucker. If you can't spot the liberal wine ant in your family, unfortunately, you might be the liberal wine ant. Yeah, Shorewood, Whitefish Bay, that is liberal wine ant central. $135.6 million referendum for new middle school and other renovations. It failed 52% to 46%, or 48%, excuse me. Sauk Prairie, 2 measures, operational and capital referenda, both failed won by just 44 votes. Fond du Lac, $30 million revenue limit exceedance, failed narrowly, 51% to 49%. Baraboo, $74 million referendum, failed with 53% against. Wisconsin Rapids, Iola Scandinavia also failed. Now, Menasha, Appleton, Howard Swamico, those referendums passed, but the fact that such big ones did not speaks volumes about where this electorate is. In the final Marquette University Law School poll before the Supreme Court election, there was a critical finding on property taxes versus school funding that largely went under the radar, but people who follow such things really took note of this because of the gubernatorial election coming up. 58% of registered voters said they are more concerned about property taxes than they are about the levels of K-12 public school funding. Just 41% said they're more concerned about funding for K-12 schools. Now, usually when you ask that question, everybody, especially good little libs, wants to say, yes, I'm very concerned about the school children and getting all the money that they need. Now, though, after property tax rates increased by the biggest amount in 30 years, after Governor Evers' 400-year property tax veto, way more people say property taxes are too high. We can't pay any more taxes. And by the way, I actually do think K-12 schools are funded just enough. That is a huge opening for Tom Tiffany. That's a huge opening for Republicans this fall. This is why the Republicans in the legislature right now should do absolutely nothing about property taxes. Governor Evers made his bed, and now his Democrats running in the fall election need to lie in it. It's his 400-year veto that spiked property taxes. Why would Republicans ever think about giving this party an out over what we can now see? Now we have actual data that says voters care so much about how high their property tax burdens are that even in places like Whitefish Bay, they're rejecting big school referendums because of how much it's going to add to the property tax burden. This is a big, big deal that not enough people are realizing is a big, big deal. This, more than anything, might have been the biggest win for conservatives last night, that you do have a tremendous amount of voters who, despite the fact that they may have gone to vote for, and in fact, in Whitefish Bay, I'm taking a wild guess that almost all of the people who went out and voted for Chris Taylor are also saying on that same ballot, no, we do not want to vote for higher property taxes. What you need to do as a Republican Party, as a candidate Tiffany, is to show people, all right, you vote for Francesca Hong, you vote for Mandela Barnes, you vote for Sarah Rodriguez, they are going to jack up your property taxes even more. They're going to continue the 400-year veto, and they're going to even tack on more because they are just going to give more and more and more to their teachers' union buddies and continue to use hard-working, tax-paying Wisconsinites as perpetual piggy banks. We will dive back into the analysis of the spring election when the Dan O'Donnell Show returns. It's more conservative thought and not just talk.
From the Lynch GM Superstore in Burlington Total Traffic Center.
Eastbound on 94 before 76, a crash taking out the two left lanes. Solid delays back to 84th and Building. Then you're heavy again with road work between Hawley and 35th Street. I'm Kevin Henry. That's your latest Total Traffic.
This report is sponsored by Tap In Golf in Waukesha and Sussex.
It's the most anticipated week in golf, and Tap In Golf Bar in Sussex and Waukesha is the place to feel it. Huge screens, a full bar, and state-of-the-art simulators bring the action to life. Tap In, where championship golf comes alive.
I'm Mark Belling. Year one of my podcast was a resounding success, with my show ranked as one of the most listened to in the nation on the iHeart platform. Season 2 begins May 1st. The Mark Belling Podcast is back soon.
The Mark Belling Podcast is presented by Uline Shipping and Industrial Supplies. Ship same day for fast delivery. Visit uline.com. The Mark Belling Podcast is also supported by Charisma Customs. You can get the Mark Belling Podcast right now at iHeartRadio or wherever you get your podcasts.
We've all seen the memes about the 17 different seasons Wisconsin has just for spring. Are we in fake spring number 3 now? Again, it's hard to keep track. I say this because we're at the point now where we need to start thinking about flip-flops and shorts and rocking that farmer's tan. If you want to lose weight before summer starts, how about working with Milwaukee Weight Loss? I've seen results. I'm Dave Michaels. There's a number on my scale right now that I haven't seen since I was in college at Whitewater. And there's been little to no exercise with Milwaukee Weight Loss's program. Plus, I'm not counting points. Their team in Brookfield has been working with me one-on-one since late last year. Now my body fat range is healthy, my BMI is fantastic, and I'm as mobile and feeling as good as I ever have. A lot of patients lose anywhere between 20 and 30 pounds in about a month or two. You can get a free weight loss consultation when you call 262-433-4007, 262-433-4007, or go online, MilwaukeeWeightLoss.com.
Get ready for the ultimate country music getaway. Country superstar Riley Green is performing live along with Chris Young, Lauren Elena, and Randy Houser on the second voyage of the Top Shelf Country Cruise, sailing March 2027 aboard the Celebrity Summit, departing in Tampa with stops in Key West, Bimini, and Cozumel. Enjoy 7 days of entertainment brought to you by Signature Cruise Experiences. Open booking is finally here, so go to TopShelfCountryCruise.com now to book your cabin.
Every so often in medicine, something comes along that is truly revolutionary.
Dr. Mitchell Scheinkup, former orthopedic surgeon, now National Medical Director at QC Kinetics.
I believe this is one of those things.
Dr. Scheinkup is talking about regenerative medicine, something he's practiced, researched, and written about for nearly 2 decades.
The old ways of dealing with joint pain, such as steroids and surgery, are no longer the best ways.
If you have pain from arthritis or injury, you owe it to yourself to learn more about this exciting option, using your own body's natural power to get lasting relief. And there's no better place to learn than QC Kinetics.
There is no one in this country today with more clinics, more satisfied patients, more advanced protocols, or more experience in using this exciting option to deliver life-changing results.
Call QC Kinetics now for your free consultation.
Call QC Kinetics, 414-888-4387. That's 414-888-4387. 414-888-4387.
Attention all homeowners. Are you looking at replacing your windows but tired of getting the runaround? Give Wilco Exteriors a call. At Wilco Exteriors, we just won Window Contractor of the Year from Home Guard Industries in the state of Wisconsin. So to celebrate, we are running our best window promo of the year. Get new energy-efficient windows installed in your home starting at $999. That's right, $999 per window. And all windows come with a double lifetime warranty. To book your free estimate, visit wilcoext.com. Wilco Exteriors, built with integrity.
At Ross Dental, your journey to smiling like you just don't care because you don't isn't paved with anxiety, discomfort, or judgment. People should be judged by the content of their character, not the straightness, color, or condition of their smile. No matter how much restoration required, Ross Dental's gentle, caring staff won't judge you. Ross Dental does cutting-edge laser dentistry, maximizing patient comfort and health. Laser removal of tooth decay requires 0 shots. For almost everyone, it's painless. Procedures are faster, no numb mouth, 0 shots. Smile like you just don't care, because you don't. RossDentalNewBerlin.com. Lasers don't churn up infected tissue. They kill bacteria, fungus, even viruses, dramatically reducing infection-spreading bioaerosols old technology drills cause. Laser dentistry is ideal for cavity treatment, and less collateral tissue damage treating gum disease or canker sores speeds up recovery. Ross Dental's convenient payment options, low, even no radiation imagery, and sedation dentistry eliminate every reason to neglect your teeth. Schedule your cleaning or cosmetic assessment today, and soon you'll smile like you just don't care, because you don't. rossdentalnewberlin.com.
Conservative thought, not just talk.
No talking points, just in-depth analysis and exclusive investigations.
The Dan O'Donnell Show, weekday afternoons 3 to 6 on News Talk 1130 WISN.
The Milwaukee Admirals wrap up a 5-game road trip Wednesday night when they take on the Manitoba Moose in Winnipeg. Top of the near circle, Willis Lee for Osterley. Osterley with a shot through traffic, and he scores! Jordan Osterley! Pre-game coverage at 6:30, face-off at 7 on Fox Sports 920 and the iHeartRadio app.
The talk shows on WISN Radio. Not for the faint of heart and not for the feeble of mind. News Talk 1130 WISN. Fact is, until you've heard us, you haven't heard the whole story.
Classical conservatism, contemporary style. I do want to get some of your reaction, folks. In the 5 o'clock hour, I think we'll open up the phone lines. I have got a ton of thoughts still on the spring election, the 20-point blowout by Maria Lazar. Why I don't think that's necessarily predictive of what's going to happen in the fall election. Although I'm not going to lie to you, I'm not going to be Pollyannish and say, oh yeah, Republicans, they're gonna dominate. A lot of people are glomming onto this polling that shows that Republicans have a higher net favorability rating than Democrats, the parties, that is. Do you know why that is? It's not independents turning on Democrats. They already have. It's liberals turning on Democrats because they haven't done enough to combat the growing evil that is Donald Trump and his reign of terror. They're still going to vote for Democrats, though. That's the thing that people don't quite get. Republicans are the ones that will say, well, this candidate or this party did one thing that I don't like. I'm never going to vote for another Republican again. It's okay, makes you sound like a spoiled 6-year-old, but all right. I hear that all the time. I hear it with respect to radio listening. I'll say something that somebody doesn't like, and they say that they're never going to listen to me again. And then I wait a couple of months, and I'll see a text from the same person saying they're never going to listen to me again. Then you wait another couple of months. They say they're never going to listen to me again. It's I don't know if it's something in the psyche of some liberals do not do that. They are going to the Democrat Party has them so scared of Republicans that they vote blue no matter who. That's honest to goodness a mantra that they go by. So this idea that somehow, because Democrats are historically unpopular, they're not going to win. They're historically unpopular because their voters hate Democrats too. They just don't hate them as much as they hate Republicans. That needs to be understood as we head into the next election cycle. One thing that didn't really get resolved yesterday is an exclusive report that we broke for you at heartlandpost.com. And that is the fact that Chris Taylor absolutely did violate election law and criminal law by electioneering right outside of a polling place. It's a little awkward when your new Supreme Court Justice-elect now is going to have to explain how very obviously recording a get out and vote for me video within 100 feet of a polling place in direct violation of Wisconsin Statute 12.03, which is punishable by 6 months in jail and a $1,000 fine, wasn't actually criminal electioneering. Now, of course, the Praetorian Guard that is Wisconsin's media came out and a very, very good reporter by the name of Jason Calvi. He's with Fox 6. He's their political reporter. He's very, very good. And I find him to be very fair and even-handed in his dealings. He does investigative work as well. In fact, Fox 6 has a very, very good investigative team. I think, did I see this correctly? Producer Andrew, can you look this up? Did they just hire Amanda St. Hilaire as their news director? If so, that's a fantastic hire. She was a great investigative reporter. Brian Polson, I think, is one of the very best in the business. And Calvi is very, very good, too. But he responded, or he quote tweeted the Heartland Post's report. And he said, well, it's unclear what Chris Taylor is saying in this, because we provided a photo. We have photographic evidence of her standing just outside of a polling place and recording this video. Calvi says, well, we don't know what she's saying. We don't know if she's 100 feet from the polling place. I said, Jason, you can see in the picture, she's standing right outside the door. Clearly, she's 100 feet. So, yes, Producer Andrew. That's Amanda St. Hilaire, Vice President and News Director. Okay, I thought I saw that. Congratulations to Amanda. A couple months ago, or maybe even a couple of weeks ago, they hired her. March 10th. Okay, so about a month ago they hired. That's a great hire. It's a very, very good hire. And like I said, Calvi's normally very good, but the knee-jerk reaction from the press and, of course, the Milwaukee Journal-Sentinel, I just love the fact that they had to mention Dan O'Donnell and Heartland Post, which they don't quite know it yet, but is going to be one of their biggest competitors. And yes, the first 2 weeks of data that we have on unique visitors and clicks says very much so that we are a competitor of the State Journal and the Wall Street Journal. Yeah, eventually I'd like to be a competitor of the Wall Street Journal, but we do have better writers already. The news coverage of the Wall Street, the editorial board is exceptional. News coverage leaves a little to be desired. No, the State Journal and the Journal Sentinel, we just, folks, the period, our first 2 weeks, we had blowout numbers. In fact, we keep having to spend more money on storage, on data, because we get so many page views, and thank you so much. We have got incredible postmortems. One is going up from one of our contributors, Alyssa Whitmore, just a very, very talented, very good writer. She's got a 1,000-word piece on how the conservative loss was an entirely self-inflicted one. She dives very deep into campaign finances and goes back to that state party loophole that Walker and the Republicans put up. You've really got to read that. We've got a guest column by State Representative Dave Maxey up right now. He is referencing the obvious electioneering by Chris Taylor that we broke yesterday, the Green Bay duplicate ballots that they still haven't adequately explained, and said, look, this is the sort of stuff that gets people to not have faith in their elections, because the people who are in charge of this stuff don't seem to respect state law. They don't seem to respect election law. That's not being conspiratorial or, a scary election denier. That's being a realist. That's saying, look, it's obvious that laws aren't being followed. Laws are being broken. Look, either Chris Taylor and her team were completely ignorant of the law regarding electioneering. Folks, go to heartlandpost.com. See the picture for yourself. She was rather obviously cutting a campaign video which was designed to influence the vote. It's the dictionary definition of electioneering. You are not allowed to do that within 100 feet of the entrance to a polling place. You're clearly not allowed to do that inside a polling place either. This is why, folks, if you ever see me early voting or on election day, usually I'm early voting now. In fact, always I'm early voting because I tell all of you folks to early vote. I try my best not to talk about politics, or if people are asking, hey, who do you think I can't do that because I'm a political figure. If I'm telling you who to vote for, that's electioneering. I am not legally able to do that. And do you think if Dan O'Donnell was standing outside of a polling place in East Madison. This was the Madison's East Side yesterday, where Chris Taylor was. And I was shooting a video telling you to come on down and vote for Maria Lazar. Is there any chance that I would get the benefit of the doubt from Dane County's Dem DA Ishmael Ozani? He said, well, Dan probably didn't realize that what he was doing was a crime. No, I'd still be in jail right now. Yeah, the headline would say editor of Heartland Post. No, it wouldn't. They wouldn't want to give me the publicity on that. They would say controversial radio host. No matter what I do, no matter what I say from here on out, I am controversial radio host Dan O'Donnell. Arrest. I would be doing my show. They would give me the one phone call, and I would call into the radio station and do my show. You'd have all the other dudes in jail waiting behind me. No. I just got to get to this next commercial break. And then you can call Pookie. Of course they would lock me up. Of course they would enforce the law to the fullest extent. And of course, they're not going to do a damn thing, even though they know that I am right on the law, that what Chris Taylor did was a crime. And that in a just world where we actually care about enforcing our laws, even against powerful libs, she would be investigated. And while I'm under no pretense that she would ever face jail time, she would be convicted and she would be forced to pay a small fine. Now, is this electioneering statute really kind of dumb? Is it overbroad? Yeah. Does it speak volumes, though, that either a Supreme Court justice is ignorant of the law or doesn't care about the law? Does that speak volumes about what type of justice Wisconsin just elected? You'd better believe it does. And by the way, we do have electioneering laws for a reason. It's specifically for that. Yes, obviously, Chris Taylor can go in, she can vote, she can take pictures with people, she can say, hey, how you doing? Hey, just doing my civic duty. I mean, we see pictures of politicians at the polls all the time. When you are recording a video whose purpose is to get people to come out to you, and don't try to tell me, well, Dan, she's just telling people to get out and vote generally. No, she is not. She's telling them to get out and vote for her. Just by virtue of her saying, hey, get out and vote, the implied message, the obvious message is get out and vote for me. It was electioneering. It was a crime. And the Supreme Court Justice-elect that liberals just delivered a 20-point win for now has to explain, even though the rest of the media most likely is going to do its level best to try to convince you that it wasn't a crime and that, oh, it's just this crackpot controversial conservative Dan O'Donnell who's trying to convince you otherwise. No, it was a crime, and now she's got to explain herself, even though she's not going to have to, because it's Madison, and in Madison, remember, the rules don't apply to the libs.
From the Lynch Chevrolet of Kenosha Total Traffic Center.
Southbound on 4145, you got a delay starting up at Good Hope, clearing up after Appleton. Northbound delays heavier. You're slowing from Watertown Plank to Hampton. 43 southbound GM Burleigh to the Marquette, northbound from the Marquette to North. I'm Kevin Henry. That's your latest total traffic.
This report is sponsored by Grand Appliance. Need an appliance fast? Shop Grand Appliance for next day delivery and the lowest prices on everyday top brands like Cafe, GE, and more. Visit grandappliance.com or your local Grand showroom for complete details. That's Grand Appliance. Appliance expert since 1930.
Your home cleaning friend, it's Edelman again. Edelman.
The only real estate agent I trust here in Milwaukee is Justin Hoffman with RE/MAX Lakeside. Now, thanks for joining me today. Now, for someone that needs to move quickly or something like a job transfer, well, what steps can you take to make sure that their home gets sold fast and for the most money?
Well, Sean, if you got to sell fast for the most money, timing and preparation are everything. You got to declutter, small repairs, fresh coat of paint. Little improvements have a big impact. Pricing the home right, stage it to highlight its features, get it on the market fast. Buyers move fast. Speed beats precision in a competitive market. Call our team today, and we'll get you set up on a custom plan to get your home sold fast and for the most amount of money. To get a free quick evaluation of your home, visit wihomeeval.com.
All right, thanks for keeping us up to date. Just go to wihomeeval.com. That's wihomeeval.com. Or just Google Team Hoffman and check out over 700 five-star reviews.
This winter might not have been the worst one on record, but it's up there. Aside from being hard on people, it's even tougher on our homes. Hi, it's Jay from my friends at Semperfi Roofing. If the freeze-thaw cycles this winter created even the slightest crack in the shingles or sealant on your roof, you're going to have water in your home this spring when the rains hit. That's why you need to call Semperfi today and schedule a free 21-point roof inspection before the rainy season. They'll go over every inch of your roof and review their findings with you, and if they do find a problem, it can usually be fixed with an inexpensive repair. But if it is time for a new roof, you couldn't hire a better company than Semperfi. They offer over-the-top customer service, have highly skilled crews that install a perfect roof every time, and best of all, they offer a 50-year leak-free guarantee on every roof they install. So give them a call for your free roof inspection today, 262-600-2910, or online at semperfiroofing.com.
We keep you safe, warm, and dry. Semperfi.
Attention business owners, if you want to sell your business, then it's time to contact the best business brokerage firm right here in Wisconsin, Lake Country Advisors. Lake Country Advisors offers free consultations where our experienced team will meet with you in person and answer all your questions about how to successfully sell your business. We will cover many things, including our proven process, how we keep things confidential, and we'll even discuss the value of your business, all of this at no cost. You see, at Lake Country Advisors, we believe it's important that you get all the necessary information up front to make an informed decision if now is indeed the right time to sell. And while leveraging value is key, we also understand your legacy is important too. Our customized plans will consider your customers, your employees, your values, and so much more. So visit us today at LakeCountryAdvisors.com and schedule your free consultation. Local, experienced, and trusted, we are Lake Country Advisors.
Welcome to Milwaukee's Best Curb Appeal Tour. I see you're admiring that nicely done concrete border around the tree and flower bed. That was done by Porter's Borders. And look over there. That's another Porter's Borders design edging the lawn. It's one continuous piece poured on site because each Porter's Borders decorative concrete landscape curbing is unique. Go to the website to get your free quote now. Visit portersborders.com. Porter's Borders, the best curb for the best price with the best service.
It's time for Stein's annual Milorganite sale, and now's the best time to fertilize your lawn and garden. Stock up today and save when you purchase 5 bags for $42 or $9.49 per bag.
Critical events drive critical times, and these are the times to learn critical lessons. Recent events should teach us that the struggle for liberty is ongoing, and forces that are misguided or sinister stand at the ready to take our liberties away. At News Talk 1130 WISN, we are dedicated to identifying the risks to our freedoms as they arise, and to alert you to those risks, valuing our liberties and our rights. This is News Talk 1130 WISN.
Show summaries, podcasts, political tidbits,
And the hottest photo galleries in radio. All available to you whenever you demand them at newstalk1130.com.
In the 5 o'clock hour, we will get to some of your phone calls, a bunch of your texts as well. I want to hear from you, your reactions to the state Supreme Court loss. I am also going to get into why so many Trump voters just stay home for these elections. And I think the answer is a lot simpler than you might think. It can be found in an Institute for Reforming Government focus group that was done a couple of weeks ago. We talked about it when it came out, and I really do believe that this is the answer to a whole lot of the issues in these state Supreme Court races. There are tons of conservatives. There are tons of Republican voters in Wisconsin that are simply sitting out these elections. The key is to make them understand just what is at stake and just why they need to come out. That brings us to today's Unsung Hero of the Day. Today's unsung heroes of the day are all of you, at least all of you who did your civic duty yesterday and did get out and vote. No, it wasn't nearly enough to defeat Chris Taylor and win a seat on the Wisconsin Supreme Court, but it was enough to get Grant Scaife elected as a judge in Washington County, to get Steve Ponto reelected as Brookfield's mayor, to win school boards, to defeat referendums. Folks, the only way we are going to win back the governor's mansion, the only way we are going to keep majorities in the state assembly and state senate is if you turn out and vote and continue to tell your friends and like-minded family members about why it's so important that they do. So everyone who came out and voted yesterday, your unsung heroes of the day. Stay tuned. Dan O'Donnell Show coming right back.
All programs on News Talk 1130 WISN are broadcast through the Annex Wealth Management Studios. Annex Wealth Management. Know the difference. Stay informed all day, every day on News Talk 1130 WISN. Milwaukee, an iHeartRadio station. Guaranteed human.
Good evening, I'm Tad Allen. Spending on this year's state Supreme Court race were just a fraction of last year's record numbers. The Brennan Center for Justice spending tracker showed total spending on television ads at just under $3.6 million. That's compared to the over $100 million spent in the 2025 race. Energy and stock markets embraced the news of the ceasefire in Iran, with oil still trading well above pre-war levels but dropping below $100 a barrel. Stock markets in Asia, Europe, and the U.S. all climbed as oil prices plunged. Checking the holiday automotive of Fond du Lac Sports scoreboard, golf's 2026 Masters tournament begins tomorrow in Augusta, Georgia. From the Orthopedic Associates of Wisconsin News Center, I'm Tad Allen on Wisconsin's most listened to radio station, News Talk 1130 WISN.
This hour of the Dan O'Donnell Show is presented by Warshawski Law.
The quality of your attorney matters more than the facts in your case. Injured? It is about the money. Warshawski Law.
Here's the latest forecast, powered by WillysWorldCustoms.com from the Fox 6 weather experts.
Warm with light rain tonight, especially overnight. Temperatures will drop into the 40s by sunrise. Partly sunny on Thursday, a high of 57, and more rain late Thursday night. I'm Fox 6 Chief Meteorologist Tom Walks.
This report is sponsored by Habish, and Rotier.
If you or a loved one is ever hurt in an accident, don't call the first lawyer you happen to see on TV. Instead, call the law firm that's most qualified to handle the complexities of your case. Habish, and Rotier. National reputation, hometown service. Visit Habish.com for more information.
Vicki Stevens writes, "We weren't happy with the way things turned out last season, so I made the call. Weedman's been a total game changer. Fertilization, weed control, the whole 9 yards. Our lawn has never looked better. The neighbors are so jealous, they avoid me at the supermarket. It's fantastic. Go to weedman.com, enter promo code GREEN, and get 1 free service."
I'm Total Health's Jay Johnson, the Falls and New Berlin. Feel like you can't lose the weight, making you feel lethargic, slow, tired, and old? Hospitalized Medicine's motivated by profit solution is drugs. Everyone, including prescribers, know have very dangerous, life-altering side effects. After 34 years practicing natural medicine, Total Health can tell you it isn't your willpower. It's fat loss resistance, often slowly built up over decades, and you can overcome it naturally. Total Health's Rapid Reset will reset your body's access to fat. Years of stress, yo-yo dieting, aging, surgery, even menopause inflame the hypothalamus and pituitary, your body's master hormone regulators. Rather than burning stored fat, your body utilizes essential reserves. Total Health's Rapid Reset, a science-based protocol, reduces hypothalamic inflammation, rebalances insulin and leptin, restoring your body's natural system of storing energy for future use, then actually burning fat for energy. A 20-pound reduction in trapped fat in the first month is a common result. It's not theory. Relativity equals expertise plus execution. TotalHealthInc.com.
Hey, it's Dan O'Donnell for CertaPro Painters. Protect your home inside and out with quality paint and a worry-free process. Their free estimates are detailed, easy to understand, and you get a quote right away. And each CertaPro Painters business is independently owned and operated right here in our community. Schedule your free estimate online at CertaPro.com. That's Certa with a C Pro.com, and ask about their spring sales event for 10% off qualifying projects through May 15th.
A small business affirmation from Progressive. Plumbers, today will be a good day. You will be profitable. Your clients will be nice. No one will stand over you and tell you how to fix the thing they actually hired you to fix. You will also feel at peace after switching to Progressive, America's #1 commercial auto insurer. See if you can save in as little as 8 minutes at progressivecommercial.com.
Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates, #1 commercial auto insurer from the NAIC's 2024 National Premium Data.
Wesley Financial Group is not a law firm, and Chuck McDowell definitely not an attorney. This is Chuck. If someone talked you into buying something really silly and you want to get out of that silly little thing, my advice, get the facts. Call me and I'll send you our timeshare exit kit absolutely free. Inside, you'll learn how timeshare works and all your options for cancellation.
Call Wesley now for your free timeshare exit information kit. 800-809-7171. That's 800-809-7171.
From the road to the roof, S&K will fix your plumbing problems 24/7.
Kowal Investment Group, now Creative Planning, is a registered investment advisor. Now for your business report from Creative Planning. For informational purposes only, past performance is not indicative of future results.
Good afternoon. This is Tom Krieger with your afternoon business report. Stocks soared today after President Trump suspended attacks on Iran for 2 weeks, pausing the 5-week conflict that closed a crucial waterway for global energy supplies. The double-sided ceasefire was contingent on Iran agreeing to open the Strait of Hormuz. Travel stocks received a boost as oil prices fell and fears of demand destruction eased. Carnival Cruise Line rose more than 10%, while United Airlines added 8%, and travel planning website Expedia was up over 5%. At the close, the Dow was up 1,300 points, S&P 500 up 166, and the NASDAQ up 617. From Creative Planning, I'm Tom Krieger.
Sense of a Supreme Court shellacking here on the Dan O'Donnell Show, and we really do have no rest for the weary after a Supreme Court campaign that really started in earnest in January. If I'm being totally honest, it started when Chris Taylor got in this race last summer. That led to Rebecca Bradley dropping out, Maria Lazar getting in. We already have. I mean, honest to goodness, it is now a straight-up sprint to November. Republicans do have an advantage in that there is not going to be a contested primary, where you're seeing already Democrats are going increasingly to the left. Even the more quote-unquote moderates like David Crowley are being forced left because Francesca Hong keeps dominating every single poll. And if it's not her in the lead, it's Mandela Barnes, the two most left-wing candidates in the gubernatorial race. But it is going to be an uphill battle. Tiffany and Republicans are going to be facing intense headwinds. That's just the cyclical nature of politics. When the Republicans control the White House, Democrats almost always have huge midterm elections. Same thing when Democrats control the White House. Republicans in 2010 and in 2014 had two of the best midterm elections they ever had. Just look no further if you go back a generation before that, 1994. Republicans retook control of the House for the first time in decades. Plenty of time to look ahead, plenty of time to look back. We will take your phone calls at 414-799-1130 in just 1 second as we sort of run a 3-hour-long postmortem on the state Supreme Court race. But it's a bit more than that, because there are sort of institutional problems that we have in the conservative movement and in the Republican Party that just are not getting any better. All that coming up in just a second. Right now, top stories that we are following. Liberal Supreme Court candidate Chris Taylor wins a 20-point margin over conservative opponent Maria Lazar. Excuse me. Trying to stifle a cough there. She is now Supreme Court Justice-elect Chris Taylor, as she becomes the 5th liberal, taking the court's majority to 5-2. Of course, we have had complete coverage of that all show long. White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt providing details of the ceasefire with Iran, saying that the Strait of Hormuz is seeing some movement, that President Trump is holding fast to his demand that it completely opened and negotiating team led by Vice President J.D. Vance is going to meet with Iranian negotiators in Islamabad, Pakistan. Finally, today, Jay Rothman, fired yesterday as Universities of Wisconsin president, tells up-fronts Matt Smith and Jaron Jordan he is not going to fight that firing.
You know, I'm disappointed by the action that the regents took, but I'm not angry. My concern really is for the future of the Universities of Wisconsin.
The Board of Regents voted unanimously 17-0 to fire Rothman yesterday evening, about 24 hours ago. In fact, we will have much more on that coming up this hour here on the Dan O'Donnell Show, including why are there 17 members of the Board of Regents? Does that not seem a little excessive? You would think like 7, 9, maybe 11, that would do it. All right, you want to join the Dan O'Donnell Show, 414-799-1130 on our AdventNews.com talk and text line. You can always email me, DOD@iHeartMedia.com, at Dan O'Donnell Show on X, on Facebook, on Instagram. We're streaming live on YouTube as well. Please do subscribe to the Dan O'Donnell Show podcast on iHeartRadio or wherever you happen to listen to podcasts. Up right now, just got posted a second or two ago. Fantastic analysis of the state Supreme Court race and how it was a self-inflicted defeat. Our Alyssa Whitmore over at the Heartland Post dives very deep into campaign finance, into messaging, into candidate quality, into all of it, and finds that ultimately conservatives have only themselves to blame. Right now, we go out to the phones and talk with Sean in Lisbon. Sean, what's going on, my friend? Welcome to the Dan O'Donnell Show.
Good afternoon, sir. Basically, the chasm between grassroots establishment is Grand Canyon wide, and until that is resolved, and I don't know how it will be resolved, it's going to be the same thing. RPW has spent more time trashing non-aligned conservative groups like TPUSA, APF, and a lot of those groups, so they've spent more time trashing them than going after Democrats.
You know, that there is a lot of truth to that, Sean, and that's something that I think sort of came to a head in this election. AFP, I think you mean, Americans for Prosperity. It's really less AFP versus the state Republican Party, but definitely turning point. We highlighted this for a couple of months back there, that there was a huge rift between the state party between a number of county parties and between Turning Point, typically younger activists who are getting involved. And these are exactly the sort of people who we want involved. We saw a massive resurgence following the assassination of Charlie Kirk, with people joining Turning Point, wanting to get involved. And what we saw, unfortunately, at all levels of the Republican establishment in this state was resistance to that, because you had a lot of people, and I think a part of this was generational. I think you had people who are very comfortable in their leadership positions within the party who didn't want to see
was the leadership and being comfortable and not wanting to give up power is the thing.
Yeah.
And I'm going to leave you with this. Can I just leave you with one?
Yeah, please do.
This is from Dean Wormer. Fat, inept, and stupid is no way to run a state party, Mr. Shimming.
Anytime you get an Animal House reference in your political analysis, we should hire Sean to write for Heartland Post or do commentary here, because that is 100% true. Now, there is this sort of knee-jerk reaction to, and I sort of liken it to a football game or a football season. I can liken it to the Green Bay Packers season. Green Bay Packers looked like one of the best teams in football until one thing happened, and I think we all know what that thing was. Micah Parsons got hurt. They were beating the number 1 seed in the AFC in Denver. They were taking it to the Denver Broncos, and then Parsons goes down, and the Packers don't win another game. Because of the just humiliating loss to the Chicago Bears, pretty much everybody said that the Packers need to fire Matt LaFleur. Now, was there a better alternative out there than LaFleur? I actually happen to think that there was. Well, Hafley, yeah, I think Hafley was a good coach. But, I mean, when you have the Baltimore Ravens firing John Harbaugh, who's widely considered one of the best coaches in football, he's out there and was basically waiting before he signed with the New York Giants. He was basically waiting for the Packers to tell him, hey, you want to come back home, sort of? I mean, his family is from the UP, the Upper Peninsula. Oh, that's right. His parents live in Mequon, don't they? Wait, am I confusing? He is from the UP, though, right? Yeah, the family's from the UP, but they moved down to Mequon. Hi, Mr. and Mrs. Harbaugh. I'm a big fan of both of your sons as coaches, in case you happen to be listening to me right now. The Packers had a chance to get John Harbaugh. They could have promoted Jeff Hafley, but instead they rolled it back with LaFleur, because they felt that LaFleur was the best fit. He is clearly very well liked within the organization. If there was no good alternative, and I said, you know what? Simply because in the last 20 years, no head coach has gone to the Super Bowl after being with a team for 7 years. Guess what? Matt LaFleur has now been with the Packers for 7 years. Could he turn it around? Sure, he could. I thought, you know what? It's probably time to go. I said that after a reasoned, thoughtful debate within my own head about the pros and cons of moving on. There were those who simply said, the Packers suck. They lost to the Bears. We got to get rid of the coach. Now, folks, I spent years honing my craft in radio as the postgame host of the Milwaukee Brewers. That means I would go on at about 10 p.m. each night following Brewers losses. You can imagine what sort of calls I would take from angry, slightly intoxicated Brewers fans demanding that the manager be fired. In fact, my old producer, Jonathan Woodward, and we used to laugh. And in fact, if I still talk to him, say, they got to fire the coach. Because you'd have people calling up and telling my producer, Jonathan, they got to fire the coach. He would say very sheepishly, yes, sir, that they do, but it's actually a manager in baseball. There are and have been knee-jerk calls for Brian Shimming to be fired simply because Republicans aren't winning. I love Brian Shimming. I've known Brian Shimming for a long time. And I don't say this as a knee-jerk response as they gotta fire the coach. I don't believe Brian's skill set, and he has a very, very good skill set. He is the type of person who you will meet and you will just love instantly. He is a very personable guy. He's a funny guy. He is someone who's able to motivate a crowd. He was great at the Republican National Convention in 2024. He does not have the ability to raise tons and tons of money, especially out-of-state money, which is how the game is played right now. For that reason, I believe the Republican Party needs to go in a different direction. I think Schimming can still serve the party, but as paid chairman, he was the first chairman to ever get a salary. You need to have somebody who is going to do nothing all day. I joked last hour about super gluing a cell phone to the new chairman's forehead and making sure that they were doing nothing but calling and asking every conservative with money this side of the Mississippi to donate to the Republican Party of Wisconsin. I've heard the excuses. I've heard from Brian, who is on this show. I've heard from people within the party that say, look, conservative donors, they don't give to parties, they give to candidates. Well, guess what? You have to tell them that they can give unlimited amounts of money to the Wisconsin Republican Party and that you can in turn give unlimited amounts of money to the candidates that you want to win. Transferring $70,000 to Maria Lazar in a Supreme Court race, sure, control of the court wasn't up for grabs. Sure, you've got to conserve scant resources for an all-important gubernatorial race. But that's unacceptable. The amount of money that was raised in a Supreme Court year, that was unacceptable. And we've seen this time and time again. If Elon Musk didn't come in, if you didn't get the richest man in the world parachuting into Wisconsin last year, we would have been outspent another 10-1. What was it? Michael Corleone famously said, it's not personal, Kay, it's just business. And it is. Let's go to Paul up next on the Dan O'Donnell Show. What's going on, Paul? Welcome to it.
Yeah, happy Wednesday, Dan. First of all, I just want
happy is a relative word there, buddy.
You gotta look at the glass as being half full.
Amen,
right?
Amen, my friend.
First
Amen.
Place, and summer's coming. But no, first of all, I just want to applaud you for your continual efforts. To just make people understand how important these elections are, and I think you're building an incredible grassroots organization that, and I got to believe it's tough for you right now because I know how hard you work, putting this all together, so, but I do think, Dan, one of the things that I think has hurt has been the governorship with, Tim Michels over Rebecca Clayfish.
Yeah.
And, kind of ignoring Jennifer Dorow. She wins that race hands down. And they had to have known that.
I don't know.
With the popularity.
She would have been she would have been a lot better. She would have been a lot better than Kelly. That's for damn sure. There's no doubt in my mind about that. I mean, she was clearly the better candidate. Would she have won? Kelly lost by 10. We haven't come within 10 points in a Supreme Court race since 2019, 7 years. I mean, it's difficult for me to say swap out the candidates and it's different. But I see what you're saying.
And I thought this reeks of just a good old boys network in Madison saying, no, we're going to dictate who gets, to run for governor and run for state Supreme Court.
Yep.
And who are these people, Dan? I mean, I like how you smacked down Tommy Thompson, right? I really do.
Well, I don't mean to smack him down. I love Tommy. But no,
I mean, you've sent a strong message to him and his team of stay the bleep out of the governorship, and you need to continue to do that. But I don't know where this all comes from. What I want to know is where's all this coming from?
Well, okay. Hey, let me real quick, Paul. Let me answer. we have actually got a piece coming at the Heartland Post on who is actually picking the Supreme Court candidates. And it is, in fact, a cabal of good old boy connected lawyers who are saying to the party and who are saying to all the grassroots, this is the candidate you want. This is the person that's going to run. Now, nobody wants these knives out primaries where everybody is just, killing each other before the general election. But what we have had the last couple of times is candidates who are picked by these people who are essentially just terrible candidates. They may be great judges, and I think Maria Lazar is a great judge. I actually think Dan Kelly is one of the brightest legal minds in this state, if not this country. The man is absolutely brilliant. It just didn't translate to campaigning. It's the same thing with Brian Schimming. His skill set is in interpersonal relationships, is in, dealing with the grassroots at these Lincoln Day dinners. It just isn't in fundraising. And what we need is a fundraiser. If I could clone Ben Wickler and remove the crazy Democrat gene from him, if I could bioengineer a Ben Wickler clone, it would be like Bizarro World Ben Wickler. I would do it. I don't know if he's still got glasses, but my goodness. I always made fun of him. I said he always looked like he just belched, because he did. On television, he always just looked like he had just ripped a giant belch. I have got more respect for what that guy took over the Democratic Party of Wisconsin from Mike Tate and the true psychopath Graham Zielinski. Remember him in the Walker era, the Democrat Party's spokesman, the just multi-time drunk driver, just unhinged, crazy person. Truly, periodically he shows up in my Facebook comments. I'm like, oh, good, Graham's still alive. I'm glad, because I'm worried. Weirdly enough, I have a soft spot in my heart for Graham. I don't know why. He hates my guts, but there's something authentic about it. It's just raw. He's just, so unvarnished with his hate. But they destroyed that party. They utterly destroyed it. Ben Wickler built it up from the ashes. And it was because he built up a nationwide donor base that just gives unlimited amounts of money to this party. Until Republicans have that same thing, I think we're going to keep getting the same results. More of your phone calls next.
From the place you want to go, Lynch McGuanago Traffic Center.
Heavy delays southbound 4145, Good Hope to Appleton, northbound from Watertown Plank to Burleigh, 94 eastbound on the break, 76 to 35th. Got a crash partially blocking the on-ramp from Mitchell Boulevard. I'm Kevin Henry, and that's your latest total traffic.
This report is sponsored by Pro-Life Across America.
Hi, I'm Angie. Did you know a billboard can save a baby's life? It's true. You can make a difference by helping us spread the pro-life message to reach those who are struggling with an unplanned pregnancy. Please make a gift today. Visit prolifeacrossamerica.org.
You know how it goes. You wait until spring, and suddenly every painter in Wisconsin is booked out. At Color Wheel Painting, we just opened up winter schedule spots, and we're offering a winter incentive to fill them. Cabinets, walls, ceilings, trim, the kind of work that makes your home feel brand new. This isn't a bargain bin sale. It's luxury service and luxury results done now with preferred winter scheduling. If it's been on your list, this is the time. Go to colorwheelpainting.com and let's get this done. Some homeowners pay once. Some homeowners pay twice. The first time for the lowest bid. The second time to fix it. This time of year, there are painters offering prices that sound almost too good to be true. Sometimes they are. Because professional painting isn't a race. It's prep, protection, process. At Color Wheel Painting, we don't cut corners to cut price. We do it right, so you only do it once. We're the right investment, worth every penny. ColorWheelPainting.com.
A
Attention all homeowners. Are you looking at replacing your windows, but tired of getting the runaround? Give Wilco Exteriors a call. At Wilco Exteriors, we just won Window Contractor of the Year from Home Guard Industries in the state of Wisconsin. So to celebrate, we are running our best window promo of the year. Get new energy-efficient windows installed in your home starting at $999. That's right, $999 per window. And all windows come with a double lifetime warranty. To book your free estimate, visit wilcoext.com. Wilco Exteriors, built with integrity.
For more information about contests on News Talk 1130 WISN, go to newstalk1130.com/rules.
Hey, Dan O'Donnell for Mander Collision and Glass, now with 7 locations to serve you across the greater Milwaukee area. Start your repair right now at mandercollision.com. Mander truly is the best decision after a collision.
Make News Talk 1130 WISN your #1 preset on our free iHeartRadio app. Powered by Gruber Law.
One call, that's all.
Injured?
Remember, one call, that's all.
Smart speakers put WISN's programs as close as the sound of your voice. Tell Alexa, Google Home, or Siri on HomePod to play 1130 WISN on iHeartRadio. And listen to Milwaukee's best talk shows.
Governor Evers has signed the NIL bill into law. He's made some tweaks using his partial veto as to how the NIL money can be spent, or how money that comes directly from the state can be spent. You might remember that this was one of the bills that now former Senate Majority Leader Devin LeMahieu, I guess he's still Senate Majority Leader, but he's announced that he's not going to run for re-election. He actually forced this through despite strenuous objections from his own party. There were a whole lot of objections from Democrats in the Senate as well, because this was basically just a giveaway to the University of Wisconsin-Madison. Well, Governor Evers used his partial veto authority to change how that money is allocated. The idea here is that money for facilities maintenance and debt service and that sort of thing would be paid instead of coming out of the UW-Madison's revenue, that it would simply be paid by the state, so that revenue money can be used for NIL contracts for hotshot football and basketball players. I'm sorry. I just have a fundamental problem with my money going to a millionaire college basketball player. I just do. Do you know how other schools are paying for the NIL deals that they're getting, like University of Michigan? Do you know how it is getting all of the money that it used to buy its national championship team? Through boosters, through donors. People are paying millions of dollars. Wisconsin needs to find its own boosters and donors. Yes, producer Andrew. Yeah, producer Andrew says he used to work in college basketball. Or are you a ball boy? What do you mean you worked in college? For who? You know what? I did know that. He was the former director of basketball operations for Northern Arizona University. Okay, I'm going to stop making fun of you now. It's like, the main job description was inflating all the basketballs. Now, that's a really cool. I did know you did that in a former life. All right, let's go back to the phones. We will get to Jay Rothman deciding that he's not going to fight his firing by the UW board, UW system board, in just a second as well. Justin, up next on the Dan O'Donnell Show. What's going on, Justin?
Hey, Dan, I just want to say that I think it speaks volume to the dysfunctional organization at the state party level that you as a radio host, and God bless you for doing it, but are filling the void with that voter guide. The fact that the party cannot get that together and do it just speaks volumes.
You said it. You said it, not me, Justin. But we were all at the Heartland Post, kind of thinking about. It's like, and we did work with the county parties, and the state party did help us a lot. But it's like, what?
But
why?
They should be running it.
Yes,
not
they should.
You leading it, and it's a basic idea. I mean, the other thing that was just shocking to me, right? I completely agree with your assessment. Yard signs do not win elections, but you still have to do them.
Yep.
I live in the reddest part of Waukesha County, and every election, the Democrats have their signs up at exactly the same spots. They know who their people are, and I can guarantee you that they're going to those people and getting their absentee votes and in their shorts to make sure they fill them out. We are still operating like it's an election in 1980, where you put a radio ad out and you wait for people to come to the votes. It doesn't work that way anymore.
No, it doesn't. Now you should hold on. You should still be buying radio ads. That's a little self-serving, obviously. No. I do say there's one caveat with the yard signs. Yard signs don't matter in, say, the presidential election. They actually matter a ton in spring elections because they raise awareness of who the candidates are.
Well, absolutely. But again, you have to do them. Even if it's not going to turn things, you still have to do it. You have to show that people are out there that understand. I mean, I can't tell you how many people who are high propensity Republican voters who are not aware of the election.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, that's on them. But again, where is the party? The party is supposed to be making sure that these people know. Even in the Dan Kelly race, the most outreach that I ever got from the Republican Party was 2 mailer cards in there, and that was and I mean, they hung their hat on that they spent X amount of money. They're not spending it the right way. They're too set back, and again, 1980 rules. The rules have changed. We have mail-in voting now. We have absentee voting. We literally have organizations who literally put as many ballots out and then go and collect them. Like, we need to get as organized as that, or we're never going to win an election in this state again.
Can you quickly answer me a question? Are you at all involved with your local party at any level?
I was. I am no longer.
Okay. Dare I ask why?
I lived in Madison for a while, and then I moved back to Waukesha County, and I have not been involved. And
Waukesha.
The way
Jason, because I want to say, hold on. I want to give you about the best compliment you're going to get, because you get it better than most people in local and state parties. You understand what wins. Now, you've got a very, very good county party in Waukesha. I would very strongly encourage you to get involved. Get involved with Americans for Prosperity. That's a great organization. AFP, Turning Point. You sound like a young guy. Even if you're not, get involved with them. Go knock some doors. Do what you can. You've got the passion, and by God, you have got the knowledge of how to win, especially local elections. Justin, please tell me you are going to get back involved, because we need people like you in the movement.
Dan, I appreciate, and I have worked on campaigns for. I'm 35. I worked on campaigns for 10 years. So I do understand but again, even that comment, it's not in volunteer mode or operation anymore. These are paid positions,
that's
paid
true.
Staffers, paid agencies, and if you don't have the money to do that, you're not going to get. And you got to get quality people who understand how to do this effectively. You're not going to get me. I mean, obviously, I'm more knowledgeable, but you're not going to get, Jan, who's 70, to go knock doors and do it efficiently. Like these are paid positions, and they have to be well-paid positions to do it effectively and turn out votes. And then remember, elections are about a battle for political power, and we need to start treating it. We want good government, but there are bad people who want power as well, and that's what we're fighting against. And the people who get in power are the ones who are willing to spend and do everything to get it, and we need to start thinking that way again, or we're never going to win elections in the state again.
Justin, every single word you said needs to be studied at every level of the Republican Party in Wisconsin. Yes. That's why I said fundraising, getting those dollars to flow into Wisconsin is so critical, because you need to have a 24/7, 365-day, even an off-year staff And liberals have unlimited group. People don't understand. It's not just the Democrat Party. The Democrat Party is just sort of along for the ride. It's all of these nonprofits that the left has that's funding all of these get out the vote efforts. Do you think Voces de la Frontera is just doing voter drives out of the goodness of their heart? No, they are getting Democrat votes out there, and they have a ton of money flowing in from all of these nonprofits that are just funneling funds into getting Democrats elected. They are hiring people at relatively high dollar salaries to do nothing but this, not just in midterm election years or presidential election years, but every year. More of your phone calls coming up. We'll check in with our old buddy Jay Rothman, who's saying he's not going to fight his firing. Much more coming up here on the Dan O'Donnell Show.
Now, here's traffic from Tri-City National Bank, your hometown bank. Call the Tri-City Total Traffic Tip Line at 414-944-5111.
Eastbound on 94 got a crash on the ramp from southbound Highway 100. Stay on the left side of that ramp. After that, you got delays between 76th and 35th. Also got a crash on the ramp from Mitchell. Westbound delays from 27 to Hawley. I'm Kevin Henry. That's your latest total traffic.
This report is sponsored by Staples. Staples has hundreds of great ways to boost your brand, like spectacular signs, brilliant brochures, eye-popping posters, mouth-watering menus, and more. Shop now through April 18th and save up to $125 on all your custom prints. Staples, that was easy.
The Jay Weber podcast is on the iHeart app and at newstalk1130.com. It's the same great common sense conservatism and analysis that made my morning radio show so popular, now in a more convenient form.
The Jay Weber podcast is presented by Creative Planning, helping clients simplify their journey to financial wellness, one personalized plan at a time. Listen to all of Jay Weber's podcasts, available on the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you listen to your favorite podcasts.
I'm Warshawski Law's nationally certified legal investigator, John Schatzman. If you or someone you love is horribly injured, Sign and Settle Lawyers should scare you more than blocking Clay Matthews on a Klingon battle cruiser. Insurance companies value your claim based on the quality of your law firm. Settlement Mills investigating your injuries is a lawyer who never tried a case looking at police reports. With Warshawski in your corner, our own investigator will be on the way to record the scene of your injury, interview witnesses usually within minutes of your call. It's not uncommon for me to document and preserve evidence police officers did not see as significant. Meticulous examination of physical evidence, all documentation, and every medical record makes certain nothing is missed. Warshawski will show how your losses could have been prevented and exactly why they were not. Insurance companies are risk adverse. Warshawski's unique skills make record cash settlements possible. And when settlement is not forthcoming, your best outcome at trial. Injured, it is about the money. Warshawski.com.
Ever wonder what it takes to feel truly wealthy and financially comfortable? Schwab asked Americans that question, and most said at least $2 million. But here's the thing, your number might be different. And that makes sense because your dreams, travel, retirement, and a legacy you want to leave are unique to you. That's why you need advice that's just as personal. The team at Annex Wealth Management is ready to listen and help you build a plan that fits your life. Click the Get Started button at annexwealth.com.
Dan Voss from Cut and Go here. A tree planted in 1646 was instrumental to freedom you enjoy today.
For a decade, Sons of Liberty, including Paul Revere, Samuel Adams, and John Hancock, gathered under the Liberty Tree for meetings, speeches, and celebrations.
I'm Willow Voss. Makes me wonder what the historical significance trees Plant and Go plant might have hundreds of years from now.
If our oppressors didn't cut the Liberty Tree down, Cut and Go would meticulously manicure it for America's 250th anniversary. Cut and Go's remote-controlled, truck-mounted, articulated grapple saw operators will meticulously manicure your trees, removing damaged branches, limbs, even whole trees, getting your property ready to celebrate God's gift, America. Grind and Go removes eyesore, trip hazard stumps, and Plant and Go will implement a maximum beauty and benefit new, potentially historic tree planting plan.
Happy 250th anniversary, a Tons of Trees movement. CUTNGOtrees.com. That's cutandgotrees.com.
Drew Olson here. That sharp pain in your back, the stiffness in your neck, you don't have to live with it. Orthopedic Associates of Wisconsin offers expert spine care right here in our community. From diagnostics to rehab to surgery if needed, they'll guide you every step of the way. When I was in pain, my first thought was to reach out to OAW. It was the best decision I ever made. Book your appointment at orthowisconsin.com. That's orthowisconsin.com. Orthopedic Associates of Wisconsin, there is a difference.
Jay Weber here with listener Martell's take on Engine and Transmission Exchange. What an amazing shop. Very professional, nice and honest. Yep. Lori had ETE put new brakes on her car and says, I'm happy and very grateful for their reputable work. Carly raves about ETE even though she says, I had absolutely no work done, but spoke with Jeff and Vince at length trying to decide about engine repair or replacement. They both gave honest advice on how they'd handle the situation. She says, I do look forward to giving them business at some point. That's the sort of honesty and integrity you'll experience at Engine and Transmission Exchange, and why so many WISN listeners have become loyal to ETE. I promise, all of the work is supervised by ASE certified technicians. They'll only do what needs to be done, and they'll do it right. With locations on South 27th Street in Milwaukee and West Avenue in Waukesha, they have easy drop-off and pickup, and they will work around your busy schedule. Check out EngineTrans.com. EngineTrans.com. It's Engine and Transmission Exchange.
Wayfinder Life-Changing Travel is back for Season 2. Join us as we explore breathtaking natural beauty and the layered history of destinations around the world.
One of the things that really struck me about my time in Alaska, there's just a more dramatic starkness where the water and the land meet. It really is just a magical landscape.
So come along as Season 2 takes off. Open your free iHeartRadio app, search Wayfinder, and listen now.
I've got a math question for you. When you add tolerance, subtract prejudice, and multiply efforts to treat one another with respect, what do you get? Less division. And school sports have it down to a science. Looking for an example of what can happen when we realize there's more that unites us than divides us? Look no further than high school sports in Wisconsin.
This message presented by the Wisconsin Interscholastic Athletic Association and the Wisconsin Athletic Directors Association.
Now, former Universities of Wisconsin President Jay Rothman went on Upfront, or at least he talked with Upfront hosts Matt Smith and Jaron Jordan today, and he was asked if he's going to fight the board's decision to can him.
As we sit here now, what do you see as your next move? Do you plan to fight this in any way?
No, I do not. I mean, the fact of the matter is the board has the right to terminate me with or without cause. They've chosen to do that. I would have asked, and I did ask multiple times for a reason, and I was not given one. And they may not owe that reason to me, but I suspect they owe it to the state of Wisconsin, to the universities, to the taxpayers, and quite frankly, all residents of the state.
And they certainly owe it to the state Senate, especially since 10 of the 17 members of the Board of Regents have not been confirmed. They are serving on an interim basis. Senator Patrick Testin is holding a hearing tomorrow. He filed notice immediately after the decision came down yesterday that he was going to hold a hearing to discuss whether or not those regents deserve to stay on a permanent basis or whether the Senate would take up their nominations and vote them down. Turnabout, it would seem, is fair play. You don't give the president of the Universities of Wisconsin system a reason for why he doesn't get to keep his job. The state Senate, which does have advising consent power, doesn't allow you to keep yours. Let's go back to the phones and talk with Mike up next. Mike in Milwaukee on the postmortem of the big loss for Maria Lazar, 20 points in the state Supreme Court race. Welcome to the show, Mike. How you doing?
Good. Justin hit a lot of points right on the head. They're very good, and they're part of our problem that's going on here.
Yes, he certainly did. We had a caller. We had a caller, for those who are just picking up the show, last segment by the name of Justin, who said, look, a lot of this stuff, it does speak volumes, unfortunately, that a radio host and now I guess the editor-in-chief of a digital news website called the Heartland Post, available now at heartlandpost.com, needed to take the lead on putting together a state voter guide for conservatives. Look, folks, I just got tired, frankly, of it never being done. The best we had was WisRed from the Waukesha Republican Party, and that just was never replicated statewide. And I said, well, I guess the best we can do is just put all of the county party recommendations into one voter guide, try to do our own research to look into who the conservatives are in each race. But it does speak volumes about why that was never done.
And another issue I have a problem with is up to the individual voters of the Republican Party. I mean, you know somebody has to sit in the seat. Whether you think the Republican candidate is the best or not, they got to be there. If they're not going to be there, the Democrat is going to be there.
And I'm glad you said that. I'm glad you said that, Mike, because
I was
ahead.
shocked to find out that the Democrat, she had worked for Planned Parenthood, and she says she won't recuse herself on any abortion cases that she's going to see.
Isn't that nuts?
They are becoming not judges of the Constitution. They're becoming super legislators.
Oh, they've become super legislators a long time ago, Mike. Thank you so much for the call. I'm so glad you brought up Republicans just sitting home, because the Institute for Reforming Government, you talk about doing the job that maybe candidates, maybe the party should be doing. IRG did a focus group to try to get to the bottom of this question that we've sort of had for a long time now, and that is, of course, why is it that Republican voters are turning out for Donald Trump, as they have for 3 consecutive elections in 16, 20, and 24, but are essentially sitting out gubernatorial races as they did in 2022, and certainly Supreme Court races as they did in 26, 25, 23, and 20. Do you know what they found? Those voters don't hate the Republican Party. They don't vote only for Donald Trump. They just don't associate what goes on in Madison as really affecting their lives. They think all of the decisions that affect them happen in Washington. And that's not really a surprise, right? For those who don't eat and breathe politics and maybe just sort of follow what's going on cable news, you would think that every decision that's made by the federal government impacts you more directly than the decision of your local school board. And really, it's the exact opposite. No decision affects you more than by the local government officials that you essentially are closest to. The government that's closest to you is the government that has the most impact on your life. State government has a much bigger impact on you than the federal government does. And what the Institute for Reforming Government found is that people don't understand that. Liberals do, because essentially politics at every level is their religion. They are the ones who are obsessed with this stuff. Conservatives, we're busy. We have jobs, we have families, we have church, we have little league coaching. We have all of this stuff, and if it's not explained to you, if the money is not spent to inform you how important a gubernatorial race or a state Supreme Court race is, you're not going to vote in it because you don't think it's ever going to affect you. More on that as we wrap things up here on the Dan O'Donnell Show, coming up next. Stay tuned.
Now, here's traffic from Tri-City National Bank, your hometown bank. Call the Tri-City Total Traffic Tip Line at 414-944-5111.
Southbound on 43, Jan Locust to the Marquette onto 4394. A little slow down to Beecher. You got a crash on the left shoulder, 4194 southbound down at the airport spur. I'm Kevin Henry, and that's your latest Total Traffic.
This report is sponsored by Grand Appliance. Need an appliance fast? Shop Grand Appliance for next day delivery and the lowest prices on everyday top brands like Cafe, GE, and more. Visit grandappliance.com or your local Grand showroom for complete details. That's Grand Appliance, appliance experts since 1930.
Your clear choice for more. Lisbon Store, Street and Door.
Transform your home with Culver's Painting, the trusted professionals dedicated to exceptional results. But don't just take our word for it. Here's Mark from Brookfield.
From start to finish, Culver's Painting was a pleasure to work with. The estimate was thorough, the crew arrived on time, and they took great care in prepping and painting. Excellent communication throughout. My home looks fantastic, inside and out.
Experience the Culver's Painting standard of excellence for yourself. Call 262-PAINTER or visit culverspainting.com to schedule your free estimate today.
It's bicycle sale time at Emery's Bike Shop. Time to get more butts on bikes. And who gets more butts, more comfortable, on more bikes? Emery's Bike Shop, of course. More bike savings, too, at Emery's, not at the Fair Park. More info at emerys.com.
This winter might not have been the worst one on record, but it's up there. Aside from being hard on people, it's even tougher on our homes. Hi, it's Jay from my friends at Semperfi Roofing. If the freeze-thaw cycles this winter created even the slightest crack in the shingles or sealant on your roof, you're going to have water in your home this spring when the rains hit. That's why you need to call Semperfi today and schedule a free 21-point roof inspection before the rainy season. They'll go over every inch of your roof and review their findings with you, and if they do find a problem, it can usually be fixed with an inexpensive repair. But if it is time for a new roof, you couldn't hire a better company than Semperfi. They offer over-the-top customer service, have highly skilled crews that install a perfect roof every time, and best of all, they offer a 50-year leak-free guarantee on every roof they install. So give them a call for your free roof inspection today, 262-600-2910, or online at semperfiroofing.com.
We keep you safe, warm, and dry. Semperfi.
Recently, a seller that unfortunately ended up choosing another agent called me. She said she made a mistake, and what she was expressing to me sounded like she kind of was bullied into signing with him. Is it typical? Not always, but it will never happen when you hire a Century 21 Benefit Realty agent. I want our agents to be able to look in the mirror and say, I'd want to work with me. Not because they're good at saying what you want to hear or offer the lowest commission, but because of trust. Because if you're not feeling that from your agent, that's a problem, and I don't want that. At 1.9% on the listing side of your sale with our commission capped at $19,000, Century 21 Benefit Realty leads with a very fair and transparent commission structure with maximum marketing that can get your home sold fast and for the best price. And saving money matters, but working with someone who will tell you exactly what you need to know up front, that creates trust. And that matters too. This is Angela Calais with Century 21 Benefit Realty, benefit-realty.com, where you pay less for full service. Each office is independently owned and operated.
Sometimes when you walk into a business, you get that vibe that these people really got this thing nailed down. That's exactly the vibe I got when I bought my SUV at Holiday Mazda. The Holiday staff completely focused and professional, but also relaxed and upbeat and genuinely friendly. Best experience I've ever had buying a vehicle. I loved it, and you know what? So will you. Hey, it's Jerry Bott, and I drive Holiday.
Connect with the road. Love what you drive and where you get it. During the Spring Forward sales event at Holiday Mazda in Fond du Lac, well-qualified buyers can lock in money-saving offers. Offers like low 0.9% 5-year financing on Mazda favorites, including raved-about all-wheel drive 2025 Mazda CX-5, off-road ready 2026 Mazda CX-50 models, blast-to-drive Mazda 3, and more. Come be our guest. Treat yourself to a test drive. Find yours and drive it home today from Holiday Mazda Fond du Lac and at holidaymazda.com.
It's worth the trip.
There used to be a day when the national news media prided itself on getting the story right. Those days are gone. Now, it's slanted stories, unnamed sources, and fake news. The goal no longer is to inform you. The goal is to indoctrinate you. Here at News Talk 1130 WISN, our show hosts will give you straightforward information and honest analysis. That is our commitment, and that is our daily mission. News Talk 1130 WISN. Real life, real news, real good. Hear the difference. The worldwide resources of Fox News and Milwaukee's home for factual, fair, and balanced coverage. News Talk 1130 WISN.
I misspoke in that last segment. I said Patrick Testin was holding a hearing tomorrow on the Board of Regents. That's actually Senator Rob Hutton, our good friend, the retiring senator from the Brookfield area, is going to hold some of those regents to account for just basically not telling anybody why they want to fire UW System President Jay Rothman. Rothman says in an interview with Matt Smith and Jaron Jordan of Upfront today that he was given the option to retire, that they would say, oh, yeah, you retire, when really the board said, we're going to fire you. He said he wasn't about that.
They offered me the opportunity to announce my retirement, serve through the end of the calendar year. And I thought about that. I thought about what's in the best interest of the universities of Wisconsin, but I could not get myself there to basically live a lie until December 31 of 2026. The job is hard. You have to bring your full passion, your full enthusiasm to it. I couldn't do that under those circumstances, so I just decided that if they could not articulate a reason as to why they wanted me to leave, then they would have to take the action that they threatened, which was to fire me.
And they did. And now they're going to answer to somebody, and it's going to be Senator Rob Hutton's committee. Good for Senator Hutton. Because it seems to me, at least, in the absence of any good reason to fire Jay Rothman, it's because he dared to try to get the board to be sane when it came to dealing with the Republican-controlled legislature on the DEI impasse of last year. All right, before we wrap things up for today, and I'm sure we will have much more tomorrow. We, in fact, do. If you want more post-election coverage, we have some of the best deep dives at heartlandpost.com. One of our writers, who goes by Robin Voss Stan, put together winners and losers from the elections, a very humorous but very insightful look at just what went wrong for conservatives, what went right. I'll give you a hint. One of his winners is wine moms. The liberal wine moms were big winners for Robin Voss Stan. That's up at heartlandpost.com, right at the top of the page. Also, our contributor Alyssa Whitmore put together a very deep dive into fundraising, into get out the vote efforts, and concludes that conservatives really only have themselves to blame for setting up the rules that Democrats are now able to use against them and basically raise unlimited amounts of money, hundreds of thousands of dollars poured into local mayoral races. They spent $170,000 to win the mayorship of Waukesha. Alicia Helversleben defeats Scott Allen to win the mayorship of Waukesha. That's a tough break. Allen is a really, really good guy. He deserved better, but just the onslaught of spending by the left was too much to overcome. So a big deep dive into that. We will have much more analysis both on the web at Heartland Post. Be sure to follow the Heartland Post on social media, Facebook, as well as X. And, of course, tomorrow on the Dan O'Donnell Show, where I am still going to chart a path forward. I'm not giving up, neither should you, and none of us can, because now we've got to win the governor's mansion and hold on to the state legislature. Enjoy your evening, Wisconsin. We are back tomorrow, 3:06 p.m. Do it all again here on the Dan O'Donnell Show.